Living in Atlanta is definitely more expensive. Obviously, it's like the setup cost of having your house and stuff. All came as like one big cost for us, but it's a nice area, really nice weather, but it's very, very humid. I think once we get our PC set up, we'll be chilling then because we've got the iPhone anyway, so we don't need to leave the house. I'd say usually it helps you that you haven't played yet. You play later on in the season because you get to see how all the players play. You get to see, how the teams are playing, where they're warding, stuff like that. But in our case, we haven't scrimmed. It's a lack of experience as a team, obviously not individually. And then we can, usually it'd be an advantage, but just in our case, it's a disadvantage. But we should be fine. So for scrims, I've been living in Atlanta for a couple of weeks now. Not actually got a computer yet, it's on its way and stuff. So the other guys have come later, obviously visa issues. And then we've scrimmed from High-Res Studios and we've only scrimmed like 3 or 4 days before the set will start. But I think it should be sufficient. We have the players, high caliber players, so it should be okay. We should wing it. So the short time we have actually scrimmed here, it's gone better than my expectations. We've played really well. We've won the majority of scrims, but that tends to be a bad thing because the other teams are trolling because they think we're out of experience, which we are. But, it's at least we're practicing and I think we'll be fine. SK, they're known for some funky starts, starting the game differently. So I think they might try and catch us off guard, but I'm pretty sure we'll be able to adapt to it. We've played, SML usually tend to do some funky stuff too, so maybe they'll try and pull some random stuff out. No, I'm never worried about Zapman. He's my boy, but he's still getting smacked.
And with that, welcome back to the SPL. Second set of the day, Friday afternoon, nice and early. Let's get it on with it then. Renegades up against SK Gaming. And joining me, as Finch would say, who could be my chair two? Yeah, there's no big whistles and bells this time. It's only aggro.
It's only me, I guess. Hey,
yeah.
Everyone. Sorry to disappoint.
You do regularly.
Sorry.
Good. SK up against Renegades. How is this matchup shaping up?
I think it's going to be a really good one. I mean, SK is playing at a really, really high level right now, and I think this is a great test for Renegades to see where they are. I mean, look, SK yesterday, 3-0 Splice. I know they're on the back of some roster changes. I know they aren't, ready in full speed yet.
True.
But the way that SK played against Dignitas last week and then Splice yesterday makes me think that I'd be surprised if Renegades win this. I'm really just looking to see how they're able to handle SK and how many games they can win in this set. I do think SK is the favorite.
And the person to look at from SK, I think, is going to be Sam for Soccer. With his performances yesterday,
yeah,
he looked very solid.
Absolutely out of this world. I mean, he had a 0-0 and 17 game or something like that yesterday on the circuit. The Pele, he gets a quadra kill. I mean, this man is just really having himself a great season 6, and we've been kind of waiting. Zap's been playing really, really well. Belair's been playing well, and we're like, when are the carries, the rookies from last year, going to step up? And everyone's been looking at Paul. Forget about Paul. Don't actually forget about him, but really pay attention to Sam, because Sam's been doing it, and he continues to get better and better.
That kind of happened a little bit, though, with newer players coming into the league who have a good season or a good split. People can potentially overvalue them, but also not give them the time of day to allow them to still be a relative rookie and still make mistakes,
Yeah, it takes time. I mean, you come in, you look good, teams start to adjust, you need to adjust yourself. I mean, it's a process, I think, for sure. We've seen that for multiple different players, and I think that Sam is now on the up and up yet again.
Now with SK Gaming as well here, Ryan, I think we're looking at the fact that Renegades, obviously they only played that one set against Splice so far. Wasn't clean from Renegades yesterday, even though they did find the victory overall here. What are we looking for out of SK in terms of the early game? Are they going to keep the pressure, the early game focus that they've got up here and see if Renegades can test it?
Yeah, I think SK's moved a little bit away from pure early game, but Neil is going to play those same style of aggressive Guardians or Warriors or whatever he wants to play and try and push leads early on. And then SK's mid game continues to get better. And that's why I think this team is playing better and better every time we've seen them the last few weeks, because their mid to late game has improved steadily. And so I think that SK is still going to look to establish an early lead. They're still going to try and pick things like Sylvanus or Hercules, but I don't think it's an all in and win or bust sort of squad. I really don't. I think SK is versatile enough that Renegades need to be ready for the early game, but also be able to team fight late.
Definitely do seem to have a bit of momentum here at the moment, SK, with how this is going on with them so far. Realistically, I mean, I'm looking at this squad and I feel like every one of them is actually performing pretty well. I think Paul may have like slipped a little bit in people's standings, but the squad as a whole seems to be doing their jobs and their roles.
Yeah, I mean, Belair, I think, has returned to how he was playing at the very beginning of last year. Remember, he came out of the gates hot and then cooled off pretty considerably as the year went on. He's been able to maintain that high level of play so far. Neil has been a top pick, top ban sort of guy whose god pool is unique enough that it's hard to pick and ban against pretty consistently. Zap has looked great. We just talked about Sam. Paul has done his job. I don't think he's made the highlight level plays yet, but I do think it's a yet for him. But he's done his job. It's not like he's been really dropping the ball for this squad, and that's where it gets scary, right? Is that you think, oh man, if Paul is only just doing normal mid laner things, what happens if he starts to click and get rolling and they start to do really nasty things in the mid jungle? SK's got a really, really high ceiling right now.
Talking about the mid jungle as well, they're going to be taking on obviously the mid lane. We're going to see Dardez, but we'll talk about Dardez in a minute. Let's go to the SK booth and see about what they've got to say before this matchup.
What's up, guys? Tom Battinger here next to NeilMah, the support player for SK Gaming. You guys are on a tear. You guys are winning some. You guys are losing some, but you guys are looking strong in all of your games. How are you guys feeling after the game's win or loss?
Win or loss? We feel pretty good always. I mean, losing definitely sucks, but as long as we have some good elements to take away from it, it always feels good. Winning obviously is really good, but I think the main thing is just depending on how we played and how we won or how we lost. If we won and it was sloppy, we're not very happy. If we lose and it was mostly clean and we got outplayed, that's fine as well.
So today you guys are going up against Renegades. We haven't seen them all split. It's been 8-9 weeks, and then we see them yesterday. What can you garnish from just one match? Is that relevant info? And if it is, what are you looking at?
Somewhat relevant info. I think it's pretty tough when the set doesn't go super long. You don't get to see as much, but I don't think we can take a lot away. I think that the best thing is to expect really nothing and be ready for everything. So we'll see what they have in store for us today, and we just have to play our own game.
That's funny. I'm glad you used that turn of phrase exactly. Play our own game. We hear a lot of people say that, and usually you can lock down a team identity. Y'all guys do a whole lot of weird stuff. What is your own game?
Our own game is, I think, just being in control. We really like to be doing something on the map that we're controlling, and I think that whenever we feel like we're the ones who can take the initiative to other teams, we would feel really comfortable.
Awesome. Well, you guys certainly look comfortable. Good luck in your next one. Thanks for your time.
Thanks so much.
Well, there you have it. SK Gaming clearly play blue in Magic is what I'm thinking about. All about the control aspect there.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
I think what Neil said is actually pretty poignant. Yesterday, they feel like they didn't take too much away, but it's early days anyway.
Sure.
Expect anything out of the Renegades roster.
Yeah, I mean, SK is a team that I think has done pretty well in their research against teams that they're going up against, so I would expect them to have some understanding of what Renegades did yesterday. The question is, how many strategies Renegades really have? I think you need to see 2 to 3 sets of a squad before you can say, okay, these are their available gods at any given time. You should be considering each player will have at least one extra deep pocket pick that they could pull out. But for the most part, after 2 to 3 sets, you can really tell what teams are valuing, especially in best of 5 settings. So only having one set, I agree with Neil, there's not that much that you can gain. I would still expect 2 full compositions that Renegades have under their belts that we haven't seen.
Now, the Renegades roster, as well as we turn our attention to them, we'll take a little look at Funballer, some of the replays out of him. And the reason we say Funballer is because, well, there's not many replays to do. There's only one set so far, and he got a couple of good Krakens on Poseidon Hunter position.
Yeah, it worked out for him pretty well, especially when the relics aren't going to get used. It feels pretty good. For you in that duo lane. Look, Funball played really well, though, across the board. I mean, games 1 and 3, he had no deaths in either of those, and that speaks to his level of positioning. But it's not like he's playing passively. I mean, look at this positioning. He's in there. He's getting his hands dirty for sure. This is the Funball that I think iRaffer has always known is there for this squad and has really been counting on and looking forward to being a teammate of.
And we saw a lot to do with the fact of, during the downtime, we got a chance to speak to him, and he was not happy with the SK, it was a rough situation. Yeah. Already, he's doing well.
Funball's going to get revenge on the SK org for last year. That's the big one.
This is all. What if he loses and it's just even more?
That's going to really hurt for sure.
Brutal. It could be a real situation there. Even Funballer heard that one, I guess, and laughing about it too. I do want to turn attention real quick towards Dardez in mid, though.
Sure.
He's a new mid laner coming on in. He's played support as his main role, switched to Hunter for a little bit. now ended up in the mid lane. Is that potentially where SK could look to pressure here to test out Dardez?
Yeah, I think so. If I had to give Dardez a letter grade for yesterday's performance, I'd give him a B. It was fine.
A good B, yeah.
B minus, somewhere in that range. I mean, it was fine. He did what he needed to do the majority of the time. I think for the most part, I'm still worried about his late game positioning and the way that he's using his relics in the later stages. That's something he struggled with a lot in the Hunter role last year when he moved over there. And so understanding how to play late game team fights as a carry position, they didn't really go super late for the most part yesterday, except for game 1. So if this game in set goes a little bit longer, I think the Dardez's positioning and late game team fights is going to be one to watch out for.
Well, let's get it over real quick to the Renegades team as they get themselves ready. Tom standing by with the interview.
What up, demons? It's your boy, Tom Battinger. We're here on the Renegade side of things. Nika, earlier I asked SK Gaming. They only got a chance to watch one game. What can they get out of it? Now, you guys only got a chance to play one game. What have you guys gotten out of your own identity?
I'd say not much yet, because I think the games were a lot different to what we expected. We expected a bit more early pressure from Trifecta, but I think that's what we'll get from SK today, from what we've seen yesterday against Splice.
Yeah, that's the other side of the question. You guys obviously haven't played much, but you've got a chance to watch. You've been watching all 8-9 weeks of the Pro League. SK Gaming have been on a tear. Yeah. What have you gotten about them? What are you guys looking to take advantage of?
Well, I think their strongest point is their buff timing. They're always on time for buffs. They're always planning invades, and that's something we're going to have to match or do better to get the upper hand, I think, in the early game.
And then, obviously, the fans at home haven't really got a chance to see you guys. You guys know what's going on in scrims. Who are we supposed to look at on this team? Who's going to do the carrying today?
I'm not sure. It changes every now and then, but today I think Dardez has to step up.
Yeah, it's Dardez. What do you feel about that, Dardez?
Sure, man.
Well, we got a sure. A little bit confident, but definitely going to have some fun here. Back to you guys on the desk.
That's the most English words I've heard Dardez utter so far. Sure, man.
Sure, man.
That's all he needed to say. We've talked about Dardez ourselves. Nika's expecting him to carry here. This team is new, and I think that's the biggest standout thing. Yesterday was a technical warm-up for them, I feel like, with how they performed. Today's the real challenge.
Absolutely. This is a huge test for Renegades. Like I said, I still think SK is favored in this one. Renegades definitely have potential here, but this will give us a really good understanding of where they are in the standings. If they're able to win today, they might be 5th, 4th seed, somewhere in that range. If they get blown out today, maybe they're looking closer to 7th. In the middle, 6th seed, you know, that's kind of what we're looking at here for Renegades.
Let's get into picks and bans then. How are Renegades going to do here against this SK roster? SK at the moment, you know, they've done a good pace for themselves so far. They've found their own window, their own style. Renegades have to show their style now a little bit. And Nika mentioned it himself there, Ryan, a little bit about the early game. They expected a bit more out of Trifecta yesterday, didn't really find it. Today, they're expecting early game pressure. So how are they planning on handling it?
Yeah, they'll get it today for sure. Nico is 100% spot on that SK is phenomenal at keeping track of buff timers and being there. I say it a lot. If you're on time for a buff, you're late. You have to be early to a buff invade, and SK is very, very good about that. So
the bans out of SK, Naja and Amuzan Cobb. And I think the reason for that is the AMC was played yesterday by Renegades, and they're like, we don't want to deal with the honey. But Naja is the old Cherryo god, so it's not a real shock to see that one like, well, it's a safe option, right?
I was going to say, I think SK is going to try and focus out Cherryo a little bit in these picks and bans. I would expect a Naja ban and then a Hunbat's pick for Sam for Soccer. I think that's something you have to watch out for. SK usually likes to put Sam on things a little bit more aggressive early on, Pele or Longshen, things of that nature. But Hunbat's is certainly a god that Sam can make a lot of plays with, and it takes it away from Cherryo, who looked pretty good on it yesterday.
Are Guardians viable in the jungle right now? Because that is something that Cherryo has in his back pocket. He's gone to the Guardians previously. Kabrakens, the Ymirs, he's not scared of doing that.
I'm going to plead the fifth on that one.
Because you're not sure.
I'm not really sure because no one else will try it besides Cherryo.
That's about
right.
Like,
So it's hard to say. We have no evidence that they are right now. I mean, we've seen Kabrakan a little bit, but that's really been Aurora playing it for the most part in the support role. Kabrakan could probably work in the jungle right now. Maybe Athena jungle could work in the meta right now. I mean, that was the big one that people had to keep away from Cherryo for a long, long time. And that sort of stuff I think would be a lot of fun to see him do.
And that's one thing I want you to keep in the mind if you're SK Gaming here, because even if you do try and ban this out, even though it will be a Batz hover here, he's always got the ability to go for that. But Batz locked in, so Cherryo back to the god that he kind of struggled on a little bit here and there yesterday. It wasn't as clean a performance on his Batz.
No, but it's a comfort pick for him.
Yes.
Cherryo, a very emotional player, really feels the ebb and flow of the game quite a bit. And so keeping him comfortable in a zone where he's been before, I think is important for Renegades.
Hebo locked in for SK Gaming, more than likely for the mid lane position here. Achilles, Hebo both flexible towards the jungle. Sylvanus locked in, will definitely tell neither is going to be in the support position.
Yeah, if there are 3 picks I don't really want to see under SK's banner if I'm Renegades are Achilles, Hobwa, Sylvanus. This is scary right away.
Time to be alive, though, that King Arthur is 6th pick in the SPL.
Yeah, and look, Belair is probably going to still play the Achilles, and he'll probably do okay. We've seen King Arthur struggle when there's consistent blue buff invades. You know who's really good at invading?
Achilles.
Sylvanus. Hobwa can rotate over and be really good in those. SK, I'm sure we're expecting this King Arthur pick, and if I'm Renegades, I think I'm banning Erlong Shen here to something that I mean, I don't like this Camazotz ban, is what I'm going to say, I think. You almost want Belair to take the Camazotz here so you can ban Pele Erlong from Sam and keep him off of those early game hyper carries that he plays and plays really, really well and can get a head on and snowball a lead in gods that invade particularly well. Now you have to give up one of them.
Well, the only thing it tells me so far is they don't believe the Achilles is solo lane right now. It's still flexible. They believe that could be leaning in the jungle, so the Camazotz is to make sure it's not in the lane. It's going to be a solo laner.
I can't think of a game where Sam played the Achilles instead of Belair. I'm pretty sure SK has hard-locked that to solo. Maybe there's 1 or 2 odd ones. But for the most part, I mean, if I'm playing the percentages, if I'm on Renegades, Achilles has gone solo 85, 95% of the time that SK pick it. You got to play to those, in my mind. If SK wanted to change up the thing they've been doing for the last 9 weeks, sure, we can't prep for that. You have to make them change it up.
Always interesting to see the Renegades faces as the picks and bans are going through, just to see who are the leaders to an extent. Not necessarily like the leader on the comms, but who's making the calls in picks and bans. And you saw their Cherryo just quite silenced the Pele banned away, so a jungle option has been limited there. The Erlang is still available, though.
It is, and I wouldn't mind Renegades picking it here for iRaffer, actually, to make sure. It would force them into a 4 physical composition, which I don't love, but it would at least keep it out of the hands of Sam for Soccer, who played it very, very well yesterday.
Bit of a clumping from Renegades, though. It's definitely a pick potential onto a Sylvanus, but Sylvanus can potentially get a big ultimate off in response. Renegades, then, thinking about where to go for next. Mid lane is open, and with Hebo locked in, they could potentially go for the mid laner here and save that last pick. But it'll be the Khepri, something we don't see too often these days.
It's interesting, actually. I don't mind this. I do get a little bit concerned if iRaffer is going to be able to survive the early game onslaught and the Achilles execute into the Scarab's Blessing.
Execute is interesting, right?
Yeah, but you really want to save it from the Hobwa execute more than anything else. That's the big one that I think could give Renegades problems.
Cernunnos hovered over, and Cernunnos doesn't see too much light. At the moment, though, I think he's actually really potent and a little bit undervalued overall.
Agreed, especially against Khepri, where you can polymorph him and then kill someone else. He's got no way to get out of it. You really have to use it on him. And I was going to say, Awilix could also work. You got double knockups, Jing, Hun, Batz. I wish I wouldn't have talked about Khepri so long, because it was in my noggin. I just couldn't get it out. Darn.
Noggin. Good word. Don't get it over either. Renegades now have 1 more pick to make. No, the Aphrodite hover for them too. So trying to match a bit of the sustain with the Sylvanus. I think Rafi's going to have a rough game in this Khepri. It's a lot of patience he's going to have here.
Yeah, I think the Zeus is a little bit better here. I mean, it's scary against the gods like Awilix and Hobwa, but I don't know. The Aphrodite, we saw Divios play it a bunch yesterday, and it didn't work against this exact same idea. I think the Zeus, you just got to try and match fire with fire here if you're Renegades. I like it.
Well, then, this is setting up nicely. SK Gaming and Renegades have their compositions all locked in. Who are you feeling on this one?
SK. Their top 3 picks are great. I love the Awilix last pick to take care of the Jingwei and the Hun Batz. The Cripple's still good against King Arthur during Featherstep as well. You've got knockup set up on the other characters. Sylvanus and Hobwa can do it. I love SK's draft. I think they picked to their strengths, early game and team fight capability. They're really reminding me a lot of Splice with a little bit more early game aggression.
Well, you wanted a test for Renegades. Here it is. Game 1 is ready. Can SK beat down Renegades early? Let's find out. Tom and Taco are standing by.
Thanks a lot, guys. And, you know, Every once in a while, aggro sounds so smart, and this is one of those rare times. Achilles, Hebo, Sylvanus, just knockout top 3 picks here for SK Gaming. I think that they've got what it takes to really control Renegades.
Having the Khepri as well into the execution of the Achilles, that's something that I really want to keep an eye out for, because Renegades have to feel confident about this Khepri pick to still want it, despite the fact that SK have that Fatal Strike available. But the big thing that I'm really noticing from SK's current composition is that even with that Khepri in mind, they have so much reinitiation because of how much burst damage they have as a whole, that I'm not even certain iRaffer Scare's Blessing can make that much of a difference.
It's going to be interesting. iRaffer's going to get hit on by Stanford Soccer. The rest of SK Game will wrap around the top side. iRaffer's actually in a bad spot, but good job by Dardez and Cherryo to keep the enemy team away from really collapsing on iRaffer, and the Khepri gets out of jail. Nice team presence.
Just didn't seem as though SK was fully aware of the fact that Khepri was so far behind them, but NeilMah and Belair going with the standard SK strategy, showing face just to kind of harass Renegades in their jungle start.
Yeah, just gonna be annoying. Dardez standing with Cherryo, gonna do that speed buff. I don't think SK Gaming are gonna be able to pester the speed, and they won't. They'll go directly to lane. But once again, we see support starting over there on the solo side for SK Gaming. iRaffer not going to do it. Most teams actually meet SK and some of the other squads to do this. They'll actually put the support over there in the solo lane as well. Renegades opting to keep this asymmetrical map pressure.
But Renegades, they might not be expecting to see Sam for Soccer on a possible purple buff rotation. Sam's still working on that red buff. Not level 2 just yet, however, so iRaffer and Funballer will successfully strip away the purple buff from SK's duo, but I don't think that that's going to be something that goes unanswered until Cherryo confirms his own solo laner's blue.
Fantastic solo blue buff. There's going to be the slowdown with the jump from the Hun Batz. Couple more shots. Belair is on the run, though. Cherryo finds one. That health pot is ticking. The stun misses. Cherryo with a backstep. Oh, the cooldown's not there. Can't get the kill. Some nice moves.
Cherry might have had the cooldown in time for another jump, but even then, it's kind of risky trying to look for the T2 possible tower dive as opposed to just taking the buff, going for the early game pressure, and kind of negating the effects that this Achilles might have had with that blue instead.
That said, Renegades still come out on top with respect to the right side of the map. Both blue buffs go to them. SK Gaming on the other side are able to kind of hang on. Well, they lose their purple buff as well. So Renegades, interestingly enough, don't bring the pressure to the right side, but still win it.
Renegade's a little bit of a party pooper for SK's early game strat, but I love seeing this type of response from Cherryo, and the fact that Renegades chose to just keep Cherry on that solo side of the map, feeling comfortable that Dardez wasn't really going to be vulnerable in mid, I think that that's just SK having to hold that L.
Well, it's also, you heard the commentators talk on the cast last match about how you've got to come with a strategy. You can't just come in and play Smite anymore. You need to really understand what you're doing versus each team. And you heard Nika on the pregame interview. Very, first of all, shout out to Nika for a real quality interview, giving us some insight and saying, yeah, SK Gaming are an early game team. They're always on time for our buff camps, so we're going to make sure to specialize in that. And look at it, executed. Cherryo takes both blue buffs.
And I think it's important that Cherryo's on this Batz, because it's not that Batz necessarily brings that early game standard to kind of match what Sam for Soccer might have on the Awilix, but the Fear No Evil will be instrumental, I think, for a lot of the future buff invade moments that SK, if they try to look for them, because SK is a team that likes forcing fights around those buff respawns.
We also saw Cherryo play Hun Batz yesterday. I think Hun Batz is one of the characters that Cherryo has excelled on. When people ask about Cherryo, their mind always goes to Guardians, Naja, Hun Batz. And yesterday, if you watched the match, you could tell that Cherryo was adjusting. Cherryo historically plays on very poor ping from Egypt. Here on land, it's a different story. I think Hun Batz is a character that you can kind of adjust with now. There are some timing things with respect to the teleport, but in general, I think this is a real comfortable character for Cherryo to get acclimated on.
Dardez trying to get a little bit of poke there onto Neil, but Neil might be a massive tree, but doesn't mean that he's going to stand there and absorb all those chain lightning stacks as Sam for Soccer and Cherryo exchange leaps, but Sam's going to find his back harpies having already been stolen by the monkey.
I just love, you know, the small thing of having our player cams here for regular season games. That's funny. Cherryo laughed about it. That's cute. Like,
Might have scared him.
yeah, I just, I jumped on the Awilix. And, you know, Awilix is like, oh, the monkey.
They might have both thought that it was going to be initiation from the other's team, and so for good reason, I could definitely understand a little bit of a jump scare on that one for the junglers. But so far, that early buff confirmed for Renegades has kept them slightly ahead of SK Gaming, but I don't think it's necessarily a massive lead. Zapman having split, or not having split the first wave in comparison to Funballer does have a small level lead, but it's not by much. It's got to be half a level at most.
It's actually kind of interesting. It's a first blood bounty between our teams. If SK get first blood, it's a tie game. Renegades get it, they obviously control it. No first blood just yet. 5 minutes in. Paul and Dardez, both on characters that need a little bit more time in the oven. Nika, on the other hand, trying to mess with Belair. Cherryo backs up. Doesn't really want to go all the way in. Does have Fear No Evil available now at level 5, level 6, but opts to play it safe instead.
Cherryo knows what it's like now, I think, on LAN, and the fact that you don't really have to worry about ping or game latency. The reaction timers from a lot of pros tends to be faster than that of the Fear No Evil release. So Zapman with a successful strip away onto Funballer's buff, but Funballer fighting fire with fire, still looking to box with Zapman.
Zapman gets up close and personal using the Cernunnos passive, but iRaffer shows up just in time and rezzes Funball. A beautiful fight by Zapman, but it's always better when you've got a teammate.
Speaking of teammates, Sam for Soccer showing up for Belair. Nika still looking for the escape as King Arthur's so low. Almost catastrophe for SK's solo laner, but Belair barely manages to hang on, and the gravity surge doesn't really get the job done.
I'd really like to play there from Nika. He backed up just out of range of the Fatal Strike and then went right back in. That was kind of cute there. Nika trying to do what he can. Has the King Arthur, a very strong character, but Nika is admittedly that is where I'm looking most critically at this Renegade squad. I think iRaffer and Funball is kind of just more of an about time.
Keep an eye on Cherryo though, over in that solo lane. Knows that Zapman doesn't have those purification beads, but Zap, expecting something to be up. Not even certain if Cherryo's been touched on that ward or not. It might be a little bit too high up, but with Funballer positioning so aggressively and Zap knowing that Batz is the enemy jungler, there's not going to be much of a chance that he looks to contest his purple buff.
Yeah, Zap's looking around the corner. That ward's still there. Cherryo just going to confirm the purple while the hunters try and fight each other.
I don't know that Zap knew Cherryo was still there. He started pushing up a little bit, and I think that if Cherryo had actually wrapped around his backside, he probably could have gotten a kill, but Cherry, I think, just content to get another successful buff invade going. Paul's still keeping control over that red, though, and I think that if you had to ask SK what they're willing to sacrifice, it's almost always going to be purple for red.
Absolutely. The red buff just flat out more impactful. Finds a little bit more. Paul being able to kind of just farm up. So Cherryo's looking to do that. We've seen him kind of shy away from the ganks a number of times. He's looking to farm up, but the Hebo, I think, a character that can have a little bit more of an impact once that farm is online.
I think that SK know it's probably just better to make Paul as cozy as possible in that mid lane, and Cherryo also doesn't have Blink in comparison to Sam, who does have the Blink. So if somebody's going to be aggressive between these two teams, I would definitely expect that to come from SK. Cherryo not going to use the Purification Beads, but the Fear No Evil and Lightning Storm do get pulled out there for Renegades, and they connect onto nothing.
That was beautiful from Sam for Soccer there. The play, everyone watching expected the Feather Step. Everyone watching expected the Feather Step, including Renegades, who doubled down with 2 ultimates, 2 team fight ults. Because if Sam Feather Steps, he winds up exactly where Cherryo and Dardez drop their ultimates. But instead he goes hit, and then bounces, predicting the ultimates.
I'm not 100%, but I'm fairly certain Sam had already used the Feather Step, and that's what got that initial bit of damage onto Cherry. iRaffer, though, could be in some trouble. Nice pull from Neil, but it's mostly SK trying to remind Renegades that your jungle isn't necessarily yours.
Exactly. Renegades, you took the first couple of blue buffs, but we can do that too. Nice damage from the Zeus there. Only 1 kill so far as we approach our 10th minute. Renegades and SK Gaming in their first game of a possible 5-game set. And the Renegades are 1,500 gold up.
But that's just with only 1 kill on the board and some efficient farming. I definitely don't think that Renegades feel comfortable. There's like a tension that you can definitely feel on the map right now, where SK are just itching to go in. They just haven't quite found their moment.
I mean, the tension is so big you could give it a name. Call it Hebo. I'm staring at that middle lane Hebo going, all right, we got a little bit of a lead, but when does Paul ult us? We got a little bit of a lead, but when does Water Spout into a Wheelish ultimate happen? Like, this is a very, very scary mid lane jungle combo, and Paul is basically AFK farming. He has not made an impact whatsoever, and that's scary for the future.
Went for the Book of Thoth Rush, so rightfully so, I think. Paul taking a step back in this one and not looking to pull the trigger super early on. I know Paul, once upon a time ago, used to exclusively rush Bancrofts on like every single one of his mid-milling mages, but nowadays I think it's a lot more traditional for him to just go for the Thoth. But looking at item choices in general, and iRaffer with this Wing Blade Rush, similar to what we saw from him yesterday, and I actually like it here because I think that the Khepri is probably going to get his best utility by avoiding the slows from that hot water carpet.
He's been doing this a lot. iRaffer has been really talking about it, and you're right, you're losing a little bit of movement speed, but if you do get slowed down, you just kind of zoom around. And you can trigger that yourself by walking over the carpet, like you said. A couple of other options as well, so we'll see how that works out. Zapman has a slow as well, so we'll see if the Wing Blade works out in the long run. Something that iRaffer's always kind of enjoyed oddball builds, and sometimes they stick. Remember the Thebes? The Thebes last item that we saw some teams do, looking for the siege? That was iRaffer, the first one to do it. He's like, well, I mean, everybody's complaining about the stacks. You sit in front of a Phoenix for 20 minutes these days. I can stack that up while we try to break the pace. And a lot of people looked for it then. Jungle v jungle. Sanford Soccer gets ulted. And Cherryo not committing again. Belair on the chase.
This could be trouble, though, for Belair. Shell is going to be popped from NeilMah, and Paul trying to do everything in his power to show up, but that's a Cherryo with the Fear No Evil.
Oh, my goodness. Paul, he just took him down. Cherryo tried to get the kill, and it just wasn't able to happen. Zapman turns around, takes care of Nika as well. 2 kills already. I really think Cherryo could have finished that player off.
I don't know if Cherryo wanted to risk it, though. He was right there in front of Paul. Good on Funballer, though. Knew he wasn't going to be able to make it to the fight in time. Decides to just split push and punish Zapman for rotating instead. Zap did get a kill, though, so it's not like that was exactly a perfect situation for Funballer. If the Hunter rotates and gets a kill, 100% worth it for Zapman. But taking out a little bit of map pressure for Renegade's favor, I think could go a long way in punishing Zapman in the future.
Talk me through this build from Zapman right here. You see the charged bow, the Odibo rank 2, after sort of a light blade?
It looks as though Zap just wanted to get the base attack speed that the light blade is going to bring, but I think the Odibo rush is probably significantly better in terms of actually getting damage spread going for himself. And Zap also, don't think he has any vision on Cherryo, but still just hugging that left side wall as much as possible. Cherryo is level 12 now, so Zap probably assumes that the Batz is going to have the blink online.
Sure.
I think I'm more impressed with how that last fight broke down and the fact that Sam actually managed to squeeze his way out of there.
Yeah, Sam got out. There were a lot of players that got out that you were right in saying that Cherryo didn't want to chance it and he was playing a little bit safe. But when he did decide to go in, he still winds up dying, misses some of the shots. I think if Cherryo is more aggressive, he still dies, but brings 1 or 2 players with him. So a little rough in the decision-making process there.
I think we did see a little bit, though, of that Scarab's Blessing interaction and SK just ignoring it.
Yeah.
They're perfectly cool with just killing the target on the spot because Paul brings so much damage naturally with this Havois that
Kill him twice.
it's tough for Renegades to try and live through everything.
Okay, you rezzed after I used my 1. I'm going to do it again.
It really is kind of gross, though, if you think about it.
No problem.
We call them 3 ults for a reason.
Hey man, I always say the fact that Hebo is squishy is one thing, but he's melee range, right? You're only getting hit by that by the water heads if you're up close and personal. Sam for soccer aggressed on by Cherryo one more time. The feather step is strong. The jump will miss. There's the blink and the counter blink, and again, Cherryo winds up empty-handed. Not a great look for the jungle monkey.
Sam baiting for days, and the worst part about it all for Cherryo is that he invests the Fear No Evil, and that was the last time we're going to see Sam without Purification Beads. His next back, he's going to have those beads online, and it'll probably be immediately after dropping the blue buff for Belair. But a nice heads-up play from Belair also. I don't think Sam accepts that challenge without knowing that his solo laner is coming over.
Sure, yeah. That's a big part of what's going on here is having the communication to bring your teammates with you. NeilMah taking the minions. I do the same thing.
The best support.
You gotta run around.
You gotta hold it. Well, Paul would also probably rage quit if Neil doesn't hold it, so.
If he wasn't playing Hebo, maybe he'd be a little bit more understanding. But
No.
This is Paul's guy.
You don't take Paul's farm. Ever. I'm not joking.
Paul certainly making an impact here for SK Gaming in the early parts of this season. SK has been my team to watch here for sure. I think they performed better than people might have expected. They brought Dignitas to a Game 5 who are undefeated. I really like watching what SK bring out. They bring interesting strategies. Needle's just fun to watch sometimes. I don't know. I think SK Gaming are one of the best teams to watch here in Season 6 of the SMITE Pro League.
They're definitely a fun team to watch, and I think that that's what really can catch a lot of other teams off guard is just the instances where SK do decide to be aggressive. It's just so relentlessly aggressive. It's the full commitment from this team and the trust that they all have for each other to be willing to dive in the first place. I think sometimes even gives them a lead over their opposition when it probably should have been an instance of them getting punished instead, just because they're so confident making that play. It can catch teams off guard.
And it's, you know, this is a team of nice guys. Maybe not Zapman, but like Neil, Scary D, Sam. These are all people that, you know, just seem real polite. Imagine Ned Flanders running at you with a hatchet. You're going, wait a second, Neil, what are you doing? And Neil's like, kill him. Like, Neil, please be respectful.
Neil is a very respectful young lad. I don't think that anybody could ever say differently there. Unless you're against him, then he's probably the most annoying support in existence. Just like right now, he's trying to get in the way of Renegades' Gold Fury attempt. But Renegades, they look more interested in the fight with SK than the actual objective.
Well, SK are certainly down. The knock up, the pull, the rainstorm. Paul makes it rain first, but Funball answers back off of the damage from Dardez. There's another carpet. SK look to surge forward, but they're going to play it safe. Keep an eye on Belair crossing the street up high. That's going to bring Sammy around here. Red buff has spawned. Renegades are here, and they're going to get knocked up. Trouble is Dardez is half HP. Beads are good. Funball takes care of one. Funball takes care of two. Zapman's here, pushed up by King Arthur. Rooted and booted. Triple kill for Funball. Paul is here, Taco. The rest of the Renegades will turn around and look towards the Gold Fury. Funball, hungry as ever, continues to chase, but will eventually turn around and get the objective.
If there's somebody that you want to send to chase after the Havois, I think Funballer is probably your best option. He could agility off of the water spout, and Paul's got to be careful here. Doesn't have beads available right now, and is just going to get rooted into his own death. I'm not sure why he opted to turn around there. Maybe didn't think that Renegades were actually going to be willing to push into him, but that was as free as ever.
I mean, it strikes me as what you were just talking about, but the opposite. Sometimes SK gets away with stuff because they're just so audacious. Just I can't believe you're doing this. Incredulous. When you're looking at Renegades, Paul goes, "Oh, they're not gonna do this," and Renegades just hit go.
Well, that whole play also came off of Funballer hitting the most important persistent gust you could have asked for. The fact that he knocked up both Sam and Belair when they were in the process of diving Dardez not only saves the Zeus's life, because he used both of his relics, and Sam's got plenty of burst damage, especially with the Hydra's procs after every single ability. I have no doubt in my mind that that could have been a completely different situation if Funballer hadn't made that move.
I mean, that was a great SK fight at the beginning. Paul gets the knock-up, Sam pulls him in, and it's going SK Gaming's way, and then Dardez drops his own ultimate. Funball finds a knock-up, and it all goes Renegade's way after that. So, really nice response from Renegades. The counter initiation won them the team fight. Is that the way you want to see Renegades do it over and over again? Kind of SK Gaming go for the first shot and Renegades counter punch?
I think that that's the way to go when you have a Batz on your side. Fear No Evil and Lightning Storm from Zeus can just be so potent together. And if SK, especially since they're trying to, I think, focus around Sam getting a nice gravity surge off on whether it be iRaffer or any of the carries. Belair, though, a little bit of a tight spot here. Now getting chased down by Nika and Funballer, by the way, who's over in the solo lane.
Oh my goodness. Nika misses the basic. So Belair is able to just blink away.
And Belair had the blink out already. He was waiting for the Q sound.
All right. Okay. I'll give it to you.
And that's why I don't think Nika missed the auto. I just think that he got blinked on the auto. Belair knew exactly where that was coming from, and Nika, try as he might, will just have to sit and wait tight. But Cherryo, done waiting around, trying to now box it out with Zapman. Gets Zapman's beads, but no one else really seeming all that interested in trying to challenge Zap. Zap just wants his tower, but Nika's rotation will force SK away.
Zap is pretty confident, level 19 on the Cernunnos. And he certainly feels good about the level of damage he's able to output right now. So he's looking for those fights.
I think that SK were kind of just a little caught off guard by Funballer coming up huge for Renegades.
Yeah.
I don't think that that has persuaded SK to not be aggressive, though. They are definitely still trying to catch Renegades inside and outside of the jungle. And I think with the map pressure being opened up, it does give SK an opportunity to try and just fight Renegades in the mid lane now.
Renegades are gonna look for the mid lane tower. Belair is behind. Will walk over a ward or two, so SK, their solo laner might be in a little bit more trouble than he thought. Renegades, Funball goes out and chases.
But Belair having to run away from a Jing Wei that's dashing into him.
Yep.
And I think that this is something that we've also got to touch on now because, you know, it's been a long time since we've seen Funballer in a winning position.
That's fair, yeah.
Yesterday was his first real set, but we said it all of Season 5. Funballer is a perfectly capable Hunter player.
Yeah.
SK just wasn't working out. But now that he's here with Renegades and a completely different roster swap up, I think that this has gone exceptionally well for him. He had an outstanding performance yesterday.
Oh yeah.
And he's already 6-0 right now. He is his team right now.
I mean, I've been saying it for a long time, and it's funny. Like, I mean, you've been involved in SMITE for forever, both as a player, as a commentator. I've been doing this for a long time, so we've seen Funball. And some of the newer fans coming in, I remember like Season 5, Season 4, just being like, you know, Funball's real good. He's just, you know, doesn't have the team. And fans would be like, you don't know what you're talking about. Funball's trash. Watch Funball. Watch the games. Nah, man, he needed a team. He's been playing next to Badger and Half Devil his whole life. Here, he's got iRaffer, Dardez, Cherryo, Nika. This is a squad. Renegades made their debut yesterday, made some noise. Right now, they're beating up Paul, still making some noise. Paul's going to die to the hand of Nika, just like that. The mid lane monster, 2-2-2. Not so monstrous this time. NeilMah gathering the rain, and the rest of Renegades pushing down mid.
NeilMah still on the retreat, but iRaffer's gonna dash forward and get pulled in to the T2 tower. Nice for no here from Cherryo, is gonna buy a little bit of time, but iRaffer still ends up falling to that fatal strike out of Belair.
Oh, but Dardez with the detonate takes down Belair. Nice play there again from Dardez. 1-0 and 4. Pretty all right damage. Number 2 for his team. And again, Renegades win just enough to look towards the Primal Fury. SK Gaming are going to come say hi, but the damage already done. Objective goes the way of RNG, and it's anything but.
Zapman still wants more though, but Renegades are going to know that Sam and Zap are nearby. Funballer already looking to meet them. Funballer actually just going to dash in. All of Renegades now looking to give chase, and it's going to be Nika who probably cuts off Zap first.
NeilMah still here as well. Zapman gets stunned, knocked up, and put down. 7 kills without an answer. Number 2 for Dardez as well. Renegades doubling SK Gaming's 5 kills. And you know, Taco, just 5-7 minutes ago, I was saying SK Gaming was my team to watch in the Pro League. We haven't seen Renegades for 7 weeks, and this is how they enter? I'm down.
And all of this off the back of that one pick onto Paul. Paul was just stuck in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. Even if he gets all the damage off onto Nika, in the best case scenario, it won't matter because iRaffer's right behind him. He's got the Scarab's Blessing. Paul knows he's screwed, so he just dies, but he already used Purification Beads. Nika got everything he could have possibly wanted and some.
SK Gaming, I don't think realized that the Fire Giant was going down until Belair showed up there. With Cherryo on the left side, I think they just thought it was game as usual. 25 plus though, Renegades get the enhanced Fire Giant.
Renegades have come out swinging. That's what I'm gathering so far. I mean, you see the one against Trifecta yesterday, and Trifecta's been finding their own struggles, and it's like, well, we don't really know where Renegades is actually at. But I am starting to become more and more convinced that Renegades is going to be our token team for we play to the level of what we're up against.
Right, you were saying that before. So, you know, when they're just playing the hard teams, so does that mean, are they going to find those victories, or?
Possibly, if they can maintain this level of efficiency and aggression. I don't know. It's almost like they do what SK likes to do, but better. I was really skeptical about how well this Khepri pick would actually pan out for iRaffer. And then I have to remember, iRaffer's one of the original reasons Khepri came into competitive play to begin with.
Yeah, that's fair. There's anybody that knows how to utilize the kit. And I mean, at the end of the day, nice moves from Zapman. Cherryo avoids the enemy ult as well. At the end of the day, a ranged root and abduct, those are still very, very, very good options. We always focus on the revive aspect of Khepri, but still a lot of setup there for Dardez, or excuse me, for iRaffer to make use of.
We're so used to seeing Dardez on the supports instead.
Yeah.
But I'd have to agree with you. I think that the roots have been devastating for Neil and Belair especially, because they use their kits expecting to be able to go in, and then it's just iRaffer like, okay, well, you can just stand in place while Funballer free cast.
You know, it's interesting. I've talked about LG as a team that has a squad of people ready to kind of prove everyone wrong, and that empowers them. I think Renegades are that, but perhaps plus a little bit more talent.
Not so much.
Well, there's a lot of on the Renegades team that they've got a lot to prove, I think.
I don't think so. I think that these are already pretty established players. The only one that I think you could argue that for would be Funballer, because he spent all of 2018 just getting raffle stomped.
Exactly, and then I look at iRaffer, and iRaffer's sitting here saying, I'm not a has-been. Nika's sitting here saying, trust me, I can do it. Cherryo saying, hey, it was just ping, baby. Dardez takes down Zapman off of the assist from the jungler. On the back line, slowing them down. And Renegades taking the left Phoenix. We'll move on to the mid.
For all that wombo combo potential that SK's composition once consisted of, it's not looking super strong right now in the face of Renegades. Nika gonna get pulled in, but NeilMah, iRaffer makes sure to return the favor. Funballer's already taking care of the tree, and now Paul on the retreat, but it's of no use. Good night.
Paul needs to find that, but Funball's finding the triple kill, a hat trick for the man on Jing Wei. Game number 1 will go to Renegades. They take down the Titan. 28 minutes, 14 kills. And the Renegades letting SK know what's up.
no answer for Funballer in that entire set. We see Cherryo shaking his mid laners, but yeah, that's the man you want to be giving a hug to right now, Cherry, because 10-0-2, a lights-out performance from Funballer, and a wake-up call to SK that Renegades is not a team that you can brush off of, and they're not looking like a team that was trying to scrape together a week full of scrims either.
Yeah, this team looks put together, and again, yesterday, say whatever you want to say about having trifecta in front of you. SK Gaming is a top-tier team. This is a squad that I think, if Dignitas wasn't here, we'd be talking about SK being #1. Dignitas just happened to be undefeated. But SK Gaming are the real deal. Renegades are showing us that they're just as real. Shout out to Cherryo there, one of our more emotional players. He realized that in the early game, he wasn't really doing it, and the game was brought to him by some of his teammates. Cherryo fixed it towards the end, but that early game was a little rough. He knows that Funball and Dardez provided that, and it got him through game #1.
But it's all about that follow-up, and Cherry was there to deliver every single time. Be more than happy to drop that Fear No Evil inside of the engagement.
One down, a couple to go. Renegades take the victory here.
Couple to go, Tom says. That says 2, which means he thinks it's going to be a 3-0 with how that went.
I don't know. I mean, he's also saying that SK is one of the top teams in the league, so I think that we needed more than a couple with the way that this set could go.
This game, though, specifically looking at how SK and Renegades matched up on paper, the picks and bans, it leaned SK.
I agree.
But it wasn't during the game. What went wrong?
No, it was just a couple odd, bad decisions from SK. And we saw flashes of this earlier on in the season where they get a little bit stubborn and say, we're going to play up here when they really shouldn't have. It was really pretty even until they go for a red buff invade where Funball hits a double knock-up on a persistent gust, insta-kill Sam, insta-kill someone else. They chase down other people after that. And then the game really shifted over to Renegade's favor. Funballer just looked dominant. That whole lead, in my mind, is between him and iRaffer, because those two were playing so well that they set Dardez and Cherryo and Nika up for a lot of success.
No real surprise that most of the replays will be Funballer because of the performance and how many kills he got for himself. Right at the beginning of the game, though, that first fight against Zapman where that res was there.
Yeah,
that was
unfair, man. Zap had that one.
We were laughing about it, you know?
You can't be doing that. Zap had him in the 1v1.
But Zap got baited by it. That's the most interesting thing more than anything. And that was the beginning of where this continued on after the fact.
Yes, this is the triple that sets Funballer up, and he's level 19 at that point, pretty early on in the game. Cherryo had a really rough early game.
I was going to say that, too.
Sam was really outplaying him for the most part, but eventually he just kind of gets his footing and ends up making a really big impact. It just took Funballer kind of dragging him along, I think, at the very end.
And the concern really is then, is because we've got to work out where it really went wrong, is because SK had the superior draft in our eyes too. Looking down the list, you can see Cherryo did struggle quite a bit at times there. But that's really good, right? The player on the team that everyone's recognizing a little bit more so than the rest in terms of performances, at least in the carry role, is the one struggling. The rest of them do well.
Yeah, I mean, having Funballer look that good was solid. Dardez, I think, played great on the Zeus. Nika continues to look good on the King Arthur. Someone should probably take it away from us.
Those support damage numbers are super low there. I just saw damage there.
Yeah.
2k for each of them. Oof.
Surprised that Neil's low damage. I was expecting more from Neil Sylvanus in this game for sure. And you can't expect the crazy pulls he was hitting yesterday to be the norm by any stretch. But the early game pressure just wasn't there. They try and invade level 1. Belair ends up escaping with just a sliver of HP left. And then that kind of knocked SK off their game plan, it felt like. And then that's when they started to say, well, we got to get back in there. This is our game plan. And then they end up getting triple killed by Funballer. And from there, the game is in his grasp.
Well, game 1 Khepri, not someone you'd expect to see against the likes of an Achilles, but it worked out well for iRaffer and the boys of Renegades. Now, they knew themselves, iRaffer was confident coming into this year that this team was good enough to win a world championship, and I think most teams believe that. That's why they're on the rosters. They want to win worlds. On paper, though, this roster is not one that you go guaranteed worlds finals. You know, it's not the case. But the way they played that one is a great early sign for them.
Haven't lost a game yet so far in Season 6, and we're 9 weeks in. That's a lot. That's quite a bit of weeks to go through.
Yeah,
you're
right. You're right. They still haven't lost a game just yet.
They have not.
But they've only played 4 games.
Well.
3-0 yesterday and 1 up here. Even Tom was leading towards the the whole 2-0 situation. 2 more games to go. It's going to be at least a 3-1 in my eyes. I don't think either team's going to take this one clean.
No, I mean, clearly SK is not going to be able to sweep it. They just lost game 1. But I do still think that SK is a team that can get blown out and rebound pretty well. If that happens against some other teams, I'm not super confident in their ability to turn it around. SK, I still feel like, have a real shot at this.
Well, let's find out what SK do in the picks and bans then. They're going to take the first pick again. Last time round, it was the Achilles they opted for.
Yep.
How did the Achilles do?
Fine. You go back to it. You absolutely go back to it. I don't think you're going to do what Splice did yesterday and first pick the Jing way in order to keep it for Renegades or keep it away from Renegades in this exact spot. I'd expect very similar picks and bans here. I think SK is going to look to change their bottom two potentially. The Awilix, as much as I loved it and thought it could really work out, just didn't do a whole lot for Sam.
Sometimes you can take these double header weeks and be like, well, this team does have a double header, so it's kind of hard to practice and scrim and get up to the same level again. But it's the same for both these teams. They both played yesterday, so they're on an even keel there. Achilles will be the first pick again. The Hercules ban? Are they really worried about that?
Everyone's been doing it against NeilMah. He's just so annoying on it, and you can't do anything because he's always all over you. He's got good displacement. It's impossible to kill him. It's been a consistent ban against SK.
Funballer's like, hey, got a few kills in that last game. Let me just have it again, please.
Yeah, can I get that? Yo, can I get that?
Yeah, I'll just take the same order on cooldown.
Same too.
Same on Batz as well. So far, Renegade's like, well, beat us with this composition. They definitely have a bit of flex in the mid lane. We saw them hover a few different picks there. Renegades, the Zeus was one that was considered overall. And SK, are we going to see a salty run back?
Zapman special, baby. He loves a salty run back. He loves it. Sylvanus, yes, there it is.
All right.
I love this. Zap has always been on teams that go for the salty run back. I would love to know his win percentage in salty run back games. I feel like it's very, very low. Very low.
I think it's into the less than 10% category.
Yes, I would probably agree with that.
Could even be in the decimal category.
Now, you could change up the bottom two still. I still think that there's room for that. The Cernunnos ended up not doing a whole lot.
It's not a true run back then, is it?
No, it wouldn't be. But I'm just saying, if they decide to not salty run it back.
How dare they?
Well, it's not a bad thing to not do the run back.
Well, that just means that you believe on paper, and to be fair, on paper, SK had the superior composition anyway. They just played it wrong, I guess.
Yeah.
If that's the case, they go with doing the run back.
Right, but here's the thing about salty run backs, right? You may feel like you just messed up, and that's why you didn't win. And if you just get to do it again against that exact same comp, you know what they're going to do now, so you've got it in the bag.
Sure.
They also know what you were going to do.
That's true.
And are going to try to do, and they already played against it, and they know how to beat it.
Terra banned again by SK Gaming, back to Renegades for their second ban. Will they go for the Awilix one? No, it'll be Pele again. So SK, back to them once more. We're heading down the same warpath here so far.
Poseidon was the other ban here, but this time it's going to be Khepri taking that away from iRaffer. So now Poseidon's on the table. Poseidon was banned, I think, in game one exclusively because they were thinking about Awilix and the Sylvanus selection. And Sylvanus can get abused by Kraken pretty easily in the early to mid game. But as for the mid lane 1v1, should that ever happen, Habwa is really, really favored in that matchup because he can just never get hit by Kraken as long as he has his ultimate up. It takes him. You can't take a new source of damage during Crushing Wave. You can only take the dot damages that are already on you.
Ganesha being hovered over here by Renegades now as it's in their bank time being used at the moment. Obviously, I'm expecting to be a support in this role. That's why the Anubis hover I didn't really mention to, just because you probably want to hold that mage again just to see what the last two picks are out of SK. Erlang Shen is still available here.
Yeah, Erlang is definitely something that I think Sam will be looking towards in this one. You do want something that can handle the King Arthur a little bit better. We saw him gank over there early on, and they just didn't have the damage to bring him down. That's been a trend, and Nika has not been making insane plays in the early laning phase like some other King Arthurs, but his team fights with this King Arthur have been very, very impressive.
How would Hebo be in the jungle here for SK too? I mean, that is a possibility still, right? They could run this in the jungle?
It is, but you're just not taking Hebo out of Paul's hands. It can work the comp, it can be the better odds.
Paul, right?
You're not taking it away from Paul. I just don't think it'll happen.
Zapman believes that he can keep the pressure with this Cernunnos in the laning phase went okay up until the point of that first death of his where he took the trade with Funballer who had backup in the back pocket. SK, one more pick to go. Will it be the same composition? The answer is no. No Awilix this time. It's going to be Mercury is the adaptation.
No Erlang. Erlang can't struggle against Ganesh because you don't want to go Purification Beads on him. You basically need Blink. And then your 72 transformation gets silenced. You can't use that to get away. I think the Ganesh pick may have been enough to dissuade that comfort pick for Sam, though. This is another one. His Mercury has been impressive as well.
Yeah, obviously with Mercury as well, the slows won't be as impactful here. Ganesha, obviously the Dharmic Pillars cause a lot of problems for some of these frontliners. Mercury doesn't really care too much.
The problem is if, let's say this is Zeus for Dardez again, if Sam starts to use special delivery on him, spinning around, you just drop the Dharmic Pillars right where he is, he's locked in, and then you silence him, and he doesn't throw Zeus or the mid laner, and he's taking a bunch of damage. Or you can knock him up from there and you lock him on there even longer.
Bit of a change of Ra being looked at here instead. Is that because of a bit of CC immunity to help him out potentially?
Probably yes. It also just is better long-range follow-up. You kind of want to... We saw this actually by Armada in the minor league where it was Meerkat playing Ra with Geno's Ganesha, and you just drop the Dharmic Pillars and they're going to straight line out of it right away. And at max range, they're slow, they're prot-shredded, and it's pretty easy to hit the Ra ult if you're far enough away that they can't hear it coming.
Interesting. They're still being hovered over, thought about by Renegades here. They are in the driver's seat so far in the set. They've already taken on this SK composition once. Just adaptations here. For the Mercury means the Awilix. The knockups aren't as important as they once were towards Renegades, but Mercury's going to do a ton of damage in the late game if it gets to that level.
Yeah, and the slows from Ra aren't that impactful. Divine Light's usually such a good peel tool for him, and Mercury just doesn't care because he'll activate special, maximum velocity, and what do you do against that?
Yeah.
I don't love the Ra pick here. I think Zeus is a stronger one. Dardez played it well last game. Keep it rolling. Almost the exact same composition for both sides.
63% win rate for Zeus in the Pro League so far.
He's pretty good.
Not been picked too much though.
No, it is a high risk pick, and usually it's the better teams that are picking him that leads to a high win rate, but he has been very, very good.
So the composition's now on paper, Ryan. Are we favoring SK again this time on picks and
I don't think I
bans?
can. I mean, Renegades played so well last game. Though I still think SK has a really good draft. It's really just if Funball doesn't get huge in the early game, this should be a good game for SK.
Because that's a good point as well. Jing away in the early game shouldn't be massively ahead. It takes a long time for it to get online. The casters are ready though. The players are ready. Let's get into the next game. Tom Taco, take it away.
Thanks a lot, boys. SK versus Renegades, game number 2. And, Taco, you said something real interesting. We were watching the draft come back, and SK was just kind of repeating their draft. And neither of us really had an issue with it because we felt that SK game number 1 Paul just kind of was not really on his game.
I think it was a risk it for the biscuit instance, and I know that salty runbacks, while they're not the most conventional strategy most of the time, I think that it's fair for SK to give this comp another shot. And
I agree.
Switching Sam up and throwing him onto the Mercury instead of the Awilix, I think, is going to make it so that if SK do fall behind, it's not going to be nearly as punishing or restricting, because that was one of the gambles that SK kind of took in the last game was, is this Awilix going to take off? If she doesn't, we're kind of screwed here. And that's exactly what ended up being the case. SK were just punished, I think for, I don't want to say sloppy, but it was kind of lazy instances of Paul's positioning.
Absolutely. I mean, Paul got picked off right about here, and that was, like you said, just, straight up lazy. Paul's a better player than that, and I think, coming from an armchair coach perspective, if I'm coaching SK Gaming, I'm sitting there going, forget it. Game number 1 never happened. Like, we got stomped on, and it was because you guys didn't play as well as I know that you can. Do it again, but better.
And I don't want to say that it was a lack of respect for SK in terms of them not respecting the players individually on Renegades, but I flat out don't think that SK was expecting Renegades to respond nearly as well as they did to those instances of aggression that SK tried to make happen in the early game.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think it's important to highlight, not a disrespect, just a lack of expectation. And I mean, you look at a strong guy and you brace yourself for what you expect to be the amount of punch to get, and then he hits you 3 times harder. Sam for Soccer hit that one a little hard.
Already a much better start here for SK as the purple buff is confirmed thanks to Sam for Soccer has made you look, and the blue buff also successfully invaded from Renegades, and it's not over just yet. Sam and Zap now going to take Renegade's purple buff as a punishment to iRaffer and Funballer failing to confirm SKs.
So this early game belonged to Renegades up and down in game number 1. They got both blue buffs, they got both purples, if I'm not mistaken. This time around, SK respond by getting everything that they're supposed to and then some. So a nice alteration here from SK. Right away, they look better, as you mentioned. And more importantly, and this is sort of what I was getting at when I talked to Neil earlier on, this is a team that knows how to adapt, adjust. This is a homework team. And I think that this is exactly what happened. Neil and the squad after game number 1 went, okay, we know where we lost. Let's pay attention to that. And they're able to adjust on the fly. And game number 2, very early on, just a better answer, keeping in parity with what Renegades are doing.
Buff invades are also significantly easier if you have the actual timers for them. In SK, I have no doubts in my mind that Sam is going to pay as much attention as possible to this dual lane after Funballer's Game 1 performance. He kind of has to. Zapman already trying to get aggressive with Funballer. Looking for the root, but it's not going to connect. Creep Wave was also there just in the nick of time, so I don't think Funballer was threatened just yet to be the first blood casualty. But it's in the back of his mind, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Zapman not one to shy away from the 1v1. Last performance from SK Gaming, Zapman beat Ataraxia twice in lane. As we said, Dignitas did go on to win that match, but that was SK Gaming taking the undefeated #1 team to a game number 5. And that's really impressive. So when you look at the fact that Renegades take game number 1, you put everything in context and you realize just how strong this Renegades team could be. No kills yet. This might be the moment where it all changes. A root's good, a pull, a miss. Nika on the outside, and no real full commit.
Buff was defended by Renegades. Nika no longer having to worry about losing his blue buff. iRaffer trying to help steal his jungler's back card piece from the control of Sam for Soccer, but that'll prove to be unsuccessful when it's Ganesha versus the Mercury. I really do like that iRaffer made sure to match the rotation, though, from Neil. I was actually a little bit concerned because iRaffer has been starting in the dual lane with his Hunter.
Right.
But seeing Neil make all those early game rotations, even if it means sacrificing a little bit of his own farm, I feel as though iRaffer understands it's a better look for the team in the early game to prevent Neil from being that extra man to throw the engagement into SK's favor automatically.
That's always been iRaffer's approach to the game, though. He's always been a team guy first and has definitely sacrificed some of his farm for the squad. It's actually really funny if you want to take a trip down memory lane with me real quick. iRaffer started his career in the jungle and had a fantastic, when he was a jungler, he'd play characters like Thor and Thanatos, and he was very good at the early game.
Yeah, and then he started playing support, and he started playing Thor and Thanatos.
Yeah, exactly, which is hilarious. But the thing was, I remember casting him in the jungle. He'd have a great early game, and then he'd fall off mid and late game because he just ganked all the time. He didn't farm. He helped his team too much. In support, you can do that. That's what the game is built around right now, actually. Just no farm early, and then you make it up late. So it works out for him in the support role. He's always been one to kind of give up his own farm. Hall taking some big boy poke there from Dardez. Level 6 Zeus just
Paul's getting backhanded right there by Dardez. Dardez is like, you dare step up to my lane?
You thought? Like, you thought? What are you doing here? #1 on the experience per minute. Zeus has been really crushing it there for Dardez.
And I'm actually surprised at how relatively unscathed Dardez has been in this Renegades lineup. Not even addressing this current set, but even in yesterday's matches, I felt like Renegades are so strong at protecting their carries. And for Funballer, it's kind of a guarantee because he's Jing half the time. So like, if you have an airstrike and like a billion other ways to self-heal for yourself, you're probably not gonna die, which is why I think SK wanted Sam on this Mercury. Sonic Boom is going to be a big way, I think, to kind of split the team fight wide open.
It's going to be a way for Paul to actually be a feasible target. Or rather, Sam keeping players off of Paul while he's being a feasible target. If Sam goes into the team fight and somebody dives Paul, Sam can kind of turn around and take care of that. Or be the initiation. A lot of options here for the Mercury players, so a nice open-ended world for Sam for sure.
I just realized.
What's that?
It might feel like 2014 again for Zapman. Playing against Funballer in the dual lane.
That's what I was saying the other day when it was Zapman versus Ataraxia, and they were playing Anhur and Artemis. I was sitting here going, what year is it?
Well, those two, I don't think have traditionally ever really gone against each other. They've always been on opposite sides of the brackets on their like previous teams. But it really is interesting to see a lot of the old heads, I guess.
Yeah.
And the way that they're still having the same control over each other.
Nate also admittedly was part of that, I don't want to say the second class of players, but that like 1.5 wave. Funball and Zap have been fighting since launch tournament and beyond, right? I mean, I always make the Team Coast joke with Funball. Zap's dig was a little bit better at that point, putting it lightly. Right side, Cherryo gets rooted. Sam is here, looks for the ultimate, hits iRaffer. There's the ultimate in response from Cherryo. Ganesha pillars are dropped. Belair being controlled by Nika on the right-hand side. 3 versus 2, Renegades advantage. And Belair gets on out of there. No kills yet.
Everything about that play was just to try and get some blue buff leverage, but SK gonna have to go back home with their tails between their legs one more time as Renegades refuse to bunch even the slightest bit on letting Nika's blue buff go for free.
And that's huge. And again, you heard Nika talk about it. I love that we got a real answer in the interview, because SK have been very successful in their buff timing, both their side of the map and the opponents, and Renegades came into this one saying that is what we're going to pay attention to. And doing that arguably won them game number 1. And here in game number 2, SK a little bit more in control, and still all that means is that Renegades aren't taking advantage. It means that they're at parity. SK keeps trying to go into Renegades jungles, and they're there already. They understand SK's thought process, and I think that's what makes them scary, the fact that they can kind of read.
Also think that Belair was maybe trying to keep Nika in the lane. Didn't want to let that King Arthur back, but Sam, acknowledging the fact that Nika's probably a lost cause in terms of a gank opportunity, he'll just drop the blue buff and go about the rest of his jungle pathway. Possible pull onto the Gold Fury, but Cherryo abandons the idea. Doesn't seem as though all of Renegades was on board for that one. But with Oracle Vision in their favor, Renegades do have, I think, a small chance of being able to just burst that objective. They do have the Ganesha, and Dharmic Pillars can be a massive saving grace when it comes to just shredding.
That's fair. They've got the Dharmic Pillars. They also have Dardez with the Zeus ultimate. Zeus ultimate does a great job at burning down objectives as well. And of course, Funball, if he gets any critical strike, will work as well. But Renegades so far playing a little bit safe. Tie game here. Now our afternoon match. SK Gaming getting aggressive one more time. Guess what? It's over the blue buff. And guess what? Renegades defend it.
4 for 4 as SK and Renegades both evenly stack up. Kind of just doing I feel like that's just the damage check is about to happen.
Yeah.
I think it's only a matter of time. I mean, 10 minutes without a first blood still.
Right.
The level of patience exhibited by these two teams so far, because SK could probably try to force a little bit more around that blue buff if they wanted to, but they don't. Right now, Zap, tired of waiting, just looking to go in.
By himself, but his team's in the wings. Sam for Soccer takes over. Ball is going to be able to back to base. And again, just an exchange of ultimates. Cherryo and Funballs for Zapman. Nice heal from NeilMah. And we get another ejection. Nobody dies.
No beads used though, but Paul could be in a spot of trouble. iRaffer thinking better of it. However, it's just going to back off. Renegades take the left mid Harpy successfully. And, oh, Nika. The player cam might have revealed it before the call did. Clean solo kill from Belair, and that is, I think, a worst case scenario right now for Renegades.
Gotta feel good about that one. Paul checking his damage as well. 1 water cannon and knock-up will bring Dardez down to about 50%. He'll suffer some damage before that. So a nice look there from Paul. He realizes his damage, but a better look there from his solo laner as the solo kill comes through. Gold Fury half HP, and Paul providing some damage as well. SK Gaming can't burn it, so they'll walk away.
It's too risky trying to make that gamble. You gotta take your wins where they happen, and right now, I think SK do have a power play opportunity to maybe just try and force another pick onto Nika. Back-to-back can be incredibly frustrating, especially after you already got soloed.
That can really be a devastating blow to the psyche of a player for sure. As soon as you walk out, you just get smoked coming right on back. Nobody likes that one, so could be the look there. I mentioned Paul's damage is really coming online versus this Zeus. He's got the cooldown boots and the Book of Thoth, so that is certainly going to be a point for SK Gaming. I'd like to see them kind of leverage that mid game or that mid lane monstrosity that Hebo could be. Really look to make a place.
But this is where Belair really has to try and push his lead. Now that he's got 1 kill over Nika, Nika's gonna need some help to try and alleviate a little bit of this pressure, but Cherryo's got other plans in mind. He's going straight for Zapman.
Ultimate is gonna be beads out. Zapman gets Cherryo for that one. But a clean trade one more time.
Love that usage, though, of the Wild Hunt from Zapman. Understood that without his beads, he's a sitting duck. There's no way he's going to avoid that Fear No Evil. So drop something that's going to force Cherryo out of his own purification beads, and it'll make it difficult for Cherryo to find all the damage on his own.
Well, from downtown comes Sam. Dardez knocked out of the way, so no CC. Little unfortunate there.
I think Dardez was backpedaling just enough that the water spout threw Dardez out of range of that sonic boom. Maybe a little spot of miscommunication there too between Paul and Sam, but nothing too awful that SK can't recover from. It's mostly Zapman that I'm keeping an eye on this game because he has been super aggressive against Funballer and looks to keep that going. Wanted to get that Cernunnos passive, but he's going to eat up the full damage of that airstrike.
Funball lands aggressively, no surprise there. The fight's still on. Zapman's AoE will dissipate. Basics coming from Funball. The knockup will be Aegis, still in the sky. The attacks won't land. I love to watch these guys fight. They like to play with fire.
Zap is beyond playing with fire. He's got the full-on aerosol spray can and the lighter right in front of it, inside of his mom's house or something, but that is just craziness. I am surprised that he still wanted to challenge Funballer even after the explosive bolts proc, because Funballer's got his 2 maxed out by now. There's no chance that he doesn't in level 13, and if he does have it maxed out, the crit chance, Zap's just taking a massive gamble there. He could have been crit into his death.
I mean, if
Oh, he actually put all of his points into agility.
That's why we see him use that dash so aggressively. Look at the power you get. You get 40 power when you're able to knock yourself up and dash forward. And that's why we see him repeatedly do that time and time again. If Zapman's playing with an aerosol can and a lighter, Funball's letting fireworks go in his hand. I mean, these guys are both playing real aggressively with no HP. I'm here for it. I want to see the explosions.
I am surprised, though, to see Funballer opt for the agility. I guess he prefers the cooldown and the little bit of power buff, but having that RNG opportunity on the crit chance from explosive bolts, that's what makes boxing feel very one-sided sometimes against Jing.
Funball's sitting here like, well, you know, it's RNG if I get a crit, but I'm always going to dash in. So I can always get that power.
Well, he doesn't have it with only 1 point in the 2. There's no
you need like
percentage.
2 points.
You need the 2-point investment, but I think Funballer just feeling as though all that thought, because Paul trying to fight Cherryo, but the pool is off the mark there for NeilMah, and Cherryo probably counting his lucky stars that he's still alive.
Absolutely. NeilMah doesn't miss many of those pulls. So when you wiggle away, you're certainly feeling good about that one. SK Gaming feeling good about this one. They have a first blood, but the game was tied when they got the first blood. Now the game, not so much tied. 2,000 gold in the lead for SK Gaming. A much different scenario than game number 1. Renegades had control of that game pretty much from minute. I won't say from minute 1. It was relatively tied. Renegades never really lost their lead. Looking to tie it up here. Renegades going for the rush. The Dormant Pillars and the Zeus ultimate. NeilMah misses a grab, and Renegades don't miss the Gold Fury. And just like that, 800 gold is another tie game here.
Could be a problem, though, for Renegades. Sam for Soccer charging up that Sonic Boom. Looking at Dardez, but gonna special delivery away as the Chain Lightning comes through. Gets Dardez's Purification Bead in the process, though.
Rapper's here, surrounded, and he's likely to just fall down. Belair puts number 2 up for SK Gaming. Rapper kind of just lagging behind there, not with the rest of the team.
And now SK have a chance to look at this T1 tower in mid. With Sam's help, should be no problem. And just like that, a Gold Fury is traded out for pretty much a stalemate here.
Yep, that said, here's the jump onto Cherryo. Half HP for the monkey already. Sammy will get the last hit. Renegades shortened the lead up before, but SK Gaming with a quick turnaround, just take it right on back. It was really 1,500 gold up, even. Now it's 1,500, 2,000 gold up, just We'll see if Renegades can make it even one more time.
But Belair's awfully close to bringing down this solo T1 tower. Sam's gonna make the rotation, but special delivery off the mark, and Nika stuck in the spin to win process. Sam's gonna have to use the beads just to avoid the damage out of the King Arthur.
Meanwhile, Belair, on the other hand, looking fresh as a cucumber. Cucumbers are like fresh, right? That's the thing.
They're refreshing. I would say so.
There you go. Because it's cool as a cucumber, but I said it the wrong way. You know.
I think both work here.
I was like up
I
a
think you're
street
okay.
without a paddle.
You're gonna lose me with some of these, by the way. There are a lot of sayings that I've come to acknowledge I was not aware of them existing.
Yeah.
And it's not because, you know, like, English is my first language or anything like that. But, like, my mom, and, like, coming from my parents, my mom doesn't understand that stuff. She doesn't even know, like, sarcasm is half the time. And I feel really bad, but, you know, I'm helping her.
Me and my mom speak exclusively in sarcastic turns of phrase. I'm sure everybody could understand that. Strictly through metaphors is how me and my mom speak, and we've been that way for years. NeilMah could use a little bit of help here. I don't know if he's gonna get it. Detonate takes him down before the ultimate goes off. Nice play there. Paul in a bad spot. Beads gets out of the stun. Here comes Sam for Soccer trying to help out. Nika takes down Paul before the help even shows up. Cherryo jumps from right to left. Zapman not gonna get TP'd on.
Cherryo thought better of that one. I think he could have gone for it, but I don't think Renegades was close enough for Cherryo to feel comfortable engaging Zapman alone. Cernunnos does have that passive that makes melee range dangerous.
Yeah, and Renegades have bigger plans. They're looking for the objective. The tier 1 tower already in their rear view. Zapman underground. And Sam will suffer the same fate. Thanks to Dardez.
Calm down there, Funballer. There's still a tier 1 tower for you to take care of. They're getting a little bit too gassed up off of that push into the tower, T2 tower line, but SK, for what little bit of a goal lead they managed to pull back into their favor, Renegades are answering right back as the T1 tower falls in both mid and duo, and a lot of the map being opened up because of it. Paul's been kind of struggling on this hub block. Renegades have not been giving him much to work with, and I'm thinking the hub just might not be the play into the Zeus.
I got to agree. Game number, and this is very standard, I think, from my thought process. Game number 1 doesn't go your way. I expect more from Paul's Hebo. I know it's better than that. Whatever, dude. Forget it. Quarterback mentality is what we say in America. Just one play to the next. Forget game 1 ever happened. You're better than that. Play it again. Game number 2, the same thing happens. I'm not saying you lost it, but today it's not there. Look elsewhere. That's why I love the best of 5 set.
Well, Nika's also been super problematic for Paul because Nika just solos Paul half the time. Or he brings Paul so low that Paul doesn't want to use the crushing wave, because if he uses the crushing wave defensively, it kind of removes the whole mentality of playing the hub in the first place. You don't want to have to use that ult from a defensive stance. You want to be the one rushing in, but if SK are going to be prevented from that because of the space control that Zeus provides and that Nika sustain can also buy them a little bit of time for, SK might just watch their lead continue to be chipped away until eventually they find themselves here, where Renegades are on top.
Well, you see Paul making the adjustment, picking up the Breastplate of Valor. Not usually an item we see him go, because Nika has just been so problematic. He's going to build some defense here. SK pushing up into the red buff, and here comes Renegades answering back. A light iRaffer ultimate, and that will send SK packing.
But SK are just going to pack it right to the Primal Fury. Got a little bit of poke damage. Cherryo, though, looking to go in. Zapman's going to get hit by that Fear No Evil, but it's Sam who tears straight through the center of the team fight, and Paul taken up into the air by Nika.
There's the defensive ultimate from the Hebo. You don't want to, sometimes you have to. Team fight goes nobody's direction, honestly. Cherryo ultimate doesn't find a kill. Belair the only one on SK with an ult left. Dardez is still available, and that's a big deal. Cherryo turns around on Sam for Soccer. Belair gets past Funball. That said, the detonate one better. Funball with the last hit, technically. And Renegades are going to finish off NeilMah as well. Another multi-kill for the Hunter. And finally, Renegades turn around. 3-0-2 for Funball, who last game hard carried Renegades to the finish line. Nika and iRaffer playing zone duty. Knock up on Paul. Nika puts him down one more time. Zapman's here. Funball as well. Gold Fury goes down off screen. Zapman in trouble. Zapman goes down on screen. 4 kills in total for the Hunter out of the UK. Funball, welcome back to the Pro League.
Funballer has just been annihilating duo lanes for 2 days now. And it's not that he destroyed Zapman in the laning phase, but it's what Funballer is doing in the team fighting portion that's been super problematic for SK, because even when they think they have a response for Dardez at last, or they finally managed to bait out iRaffer's Dharmic Pillars to open up some of the space in the jungle, it just does not seem to matter, because Funballer is just charging in and not getting punished for it in the slightest.
Not at all. Funball has been able to do whatever he wants, oftentimes playing not just aggressively, but over-aggressively, objectively over-aggressive. Taco, there has been at least 1 or 2 times where I've seen Funball go in and I go, that's the wrong play. And then he winds up with a double kill. But if that's the way you're playing, I mean, I say it all the time. Make me make a mistake, right? If that's the way you're playing and you're getting gifted for it, keep doing it till SK prove it wrong.
I wouldn't be surprised if Zapman winds up with a Jing in Game 3.
I would expect
I think it's about time Funballer loses his privilege to play the Jing, because she, even though she's oftentimes regarded as a late game hunter, I think it's just been too much of an issue of SK not being able to punish Funballer during the laning phase.
Oh,
and Zapman, just as quickly as he stepped up to that Phoenix, he'll find himself heading right back to the fountain.
Zapman stepped up to the plate, and Renegades cut him up and ate him for dinner. Backline set for soccer, distracting Renegades, but just a distraction. Funball lands back down, agility out. 10% left on the bird. Knockups are good. Renegades looking to surge forward one more time. There's the shots, and the bird will fall.
Renegades still not done with their siege just yet. Have a wave approaching on the right-hand side, although it did get pushed up a little bit, but iRaffer's going to eat the first couple of shots here. And keep in mind, this is not an enhanced fire giant. There isn't that 50% of backdoor protections already being taken care of.
So that's going to mean we need the minions. Need is a big word, but Renegades will wait for them anyway. Belair and NeilMah here front and center. Paul and Sam, the squishies on the left-hand side. Great knockup from Neil. Can Renegades get away from it? Looks like they can. Funball takes down the support and to the right side, Phoenix. 2 out of the 3 birds are down. SK Gaming rotating.
And at least the worst of it is over for now. SK still have one more T2 left on the map, although I can't imagine that it'll be there for very long, because the Renegades are swinging their way across. They might want to back to base though and spend some of that gold. Yeah, Funballer already making his way back home. Gonna buy up his 6 item slot. Should probably have enough gold to finish his build outright, but have to wait and see what he chooses to go with. And it's a Mantle of Discord.
Ooh.
Prioritizing safety first.
I don't mind it.
He's got plenty of damage already. It doesn't really need the Titan's Bane against the comp that SK have drafted either, so one more time, this Jing pick just really seems to be paying off big time for the Renegades.
Without a doubt. I mean, Funball has been... And it's funny because nobody's touched Funball yet, and now when they do, they're going to get stunned for their trouble.
I actually didn't even think about that.
Yeah, Funball just saying, all right, fine. I'm safe. And a real interesting thought process there. Just, you know, a lot of people are just going to double down. He's trying to, just in case. Renegades right now, 11,000 gold in the lead and pushing.
And I just have to say, this is only reinforcing my thought process that Renegades are just a team that they step up to bat based on whatever's being thrown at them.
P.S. This team hasn't played competitively yet. Yesterday was their first day. A lot of issues, unfortunately, as far as logistics is concerned. No problem, logistically speaking, with this victory. Sam for Soccer and NeilMah both go down. Paul is going to have a matching casket as soon as the Aegis wears out. Zapman gets taken down. Double kill for Cherryo. Double kill for Funball. And the Titan goes down. It's 2 wins for Renegades.
And it's not even so much the Renegades starting this game off hot. It was actually SK who had most of the early game under their thumb. And then one fight goes south near the Gold Fury, and it was kind of all she wrote from that point forward. Renegades just took advantage of their lead. They took advantage of the map pressure they were able to exert from having stagger wiped SK. And I think it's important to mention that they staggered those death timers because Paul and Zapman didn't die with the rest of their team initially. I think had they just forfeited the Gold Fury and backed off entirely and let Renegades get that little bit of gold lead, then we might have seen a much better mid to late from SK. But after Zap and Paul went in there, they got picked, and then Renegades were able to push so much more than just that Gold Fury. They get towers, they get jungle buffs, they get farm and experience all that time that Zap and Paul are spending dead. And I think we're at that time now where it's time for those two to get a little bit of a switch up.
I agree. Zapman and the team SK, something's got to give. This team can add, whether or not they are capable of it is not a question. But will they do it is the question. Renegades have looked strong here. I've liked their play on an individual level. I've liked their play on a macro level as well. Like I said, they spent 8 weeks watching. Now they're playing.
They are playing. They are playing indeed, and an interesting set this is becoming here, because it was pretty much the same sort of composition that we saw Renegades run back, but it started off completely different this game. There was no early lead.
Yeah, but much better start from SK. They do what they're supposed to do. Invade buffs consistently. They were on timers, but Renegades did a great job of defending their own blue. It was a big investment a lot of times. You'd see 2-3 ultimates used by Renegades, whereas only 1 or maybe a set of beads by SK. But the moral of the story was they were getting the blue buff every time. Renegades were defending their buffs, and it stopped that early snowball. And then Funball just continues to look really, really strong in the Hunter role. Dardez is positioning very, very well in the Zeus and hitting the right targets.
I was going to mention that about the Zeus mid lane. Obviously, playing mid lane a lot is not something that Dardez has done. No. But his position seems to be good.
Much better than it was during the ADC days, in my mind. Already he looked very comfortable in that role. The frontliners of iRaffer and Nika have just been playing so well that it's making it pretty easy for Dardez and for Funball to clean up all these kills, because I think their tanks have been doing a great job.
Well, I will say Nika did get soloed by Belair in that solo lane over there earlier on. I think that was more a miscalculation than anything. That didn't really come back to bite them at the end. It definitely felt that SK were getting frustrated, though. The Mercury, the Hebo, they wanted to initiate. They were trying to find windows. But Renegades seemed to see them come in and isolate them to make sure that wasn't possible. Ganesha definitely helped with that.
Yes, definitely. It just felt like, I don't know, that Sam and Paul are just not working like they normally do. Paul in particular has had a really rough set. I mean, here, he just insta-dives before he gets his ultimate off. I know he doesn't have anywhere to go, really, but holding onto it and dying doesn't do you a whole lot of good either. Paul has not had a particularly good set.
Quite a game overall for Nika, but it still came up good for him. And towards the end, that's when we started to see, it really felt like the Gold Fury that we saw Renegades get, just an opportunity approached itself. When blue buff was being invaded on the right-hand side, they went for gold, got the Gold Fury, and then from there, it started to feel like Renegades started to find their rhythm of what they were going to do with the rest of the game.
Their early game, it doesn't feel like they're bad there. It just feels kind of like they're treading water, right? They're keeping their head afloat. They're doing okay, but their team fighting has been incredible, and that's what's been really good about this squad.
With Batz and Batz and Zeus in the same team, you're expecting a good team fight roster, though. You're expecting AOE, whereas SK very much a single target focus for the most part. Sure, Hebo's ult can hit multiple people, but most of the time you just have to that one guy.
Yeah, and Paul just never really found it. I mean, 0-3, 0-4, 0-4 for the mid, support, and ADC for SK this game. Sam does no player damage at all, really, in the grand scheme of things. He gets doubled by Cherryo on player damage. It's just not enough.
When you look at what happened in the side lanes, though, both of SK's side laners, Zapman and Belair, were both pressuring the lane so much. How do you gank as a Mercury? The only really option was the mid lane.
Right.
But then again, it's still Zeus, and we saw him try now and again to try and make a play in that mid lane, and there was a bit of timing issues with the Hebo knock-up and the Sonic Boom hitting at the same time.
Yeah, it's just tough, I think, for SK right now. When Paul and Sam are having off days like this, it feels like they're really struggling. I think it's both of them that are it kind of compounds on one another, right? Like you said, you don't really know where to go anymore. You can't really Mercury gank the Jing because as soon as you use special delivery, you just give her a free escape with that agility. It's just, I feel like the number one thing if I'm SK is I'm keeping Nika off King Arthur, because he's played King Arthur in 5 straight games now. Make him prove to me that he can do something else.
But does he need to? I mean, he even lost technically the laning phase with Belair getting the kill, and it still worked out great for them.
It
so
did.
Take it away, maybe. Okay.
I think so, because you're right. I mean, his laning phase hasn't been spectacular, but his team fights have been. He's been really, really good, and Paul has had a real trouble getting away from this King Arthur. Let him have some space in these team fights.
Into picks and bans we go. SK yet again will be first pick, first ban. Are we expecting a different composition from them here overall?
Yes, I think that you're going a completely different direction.
So maybe some Erlangs, maybe some, a little bit more
something like that. I think
that.
You're trying to take something away from Renegades here. I think you're trying to take the Jing away from Funballer if you can. I wouldn't be that surprised if we saw like a first pick Batz here from SK, just keep Cherryo off of it. Same bans seem okay for me, though. This AMC ban, I think, is not doing a whole lot for me at this point. Yes, they played it yesterday, and yes, it looked good. But Renegades have played a bunch of stuff today that's also looked good, so maybe you just ban something besides the AMC here.
And that's why there's a bit of a pause here in the next ban, I feel, is because they're actually having a conversation about what it will be this time round. There's been a lot of focus bans coming through, but I don't think they were as impactful as they needed to be. Maybe it's time to, like you said, maybe the Arthur is the one to take away or pick it for themselves.
Yeah, I think you could first pick it here if you want. I mean, you know that Renegades will try and go with something along the lines of the Camazotz, but something different. I think that you actually ban King Arthur here and then still first pick the Achilles.
Yeah.
Belair played really well that game. He finished 3-1, was doing quite a bit for them.
That put Nika on something like Osiris or something like that, right? That's what we're seeing a little bit more of. It's going to be Batz. Actually, funny enough, SK going to mix it up and try and focus out Cherryo in the jungle a little bit more.
Sure, that's fine too. I think that you can't keep banning things that you haven't seen more than once.
That's true.
And you make Renegades beat you with something else besides what they've beaten you with twice already.
Time
today.
to get in there and
So
mix
Achilles
it up.
first pick. This means Renegades will go with Jing, but not Batz.
No, not Batz.
Can't be
Batz. What it's been the last 2 games. You're going Jing here 100%. Maybe you go King Arthur here just because you know you're going to pick it and you don't need to show anything else at this point. You could go AMC if that's what they've been banning a lot. But Terra's fine as well. This is a flex pick now. I think you can give this over to Nika in the solo lane or leave it for iRaffer in support.
Kickoff is still on the table too, remember, so we'll see what SK choose to do if it's going to be that Achilles in the solo lane. We are looking for a different composition out of SK. 2 times we've had this sort of similar come through, and it's not worked. May have had better success in game 2, but into a 3rd game, running it back again, I'm not so sure about.
Yeah, I think something along the lines of Erlang Zeus here would feel really good for SK. You want to give Sam something that he's comfortable with. You want to change up what Paul's been picking. Zeus has been a very good pick for Dardez so far. He's looked best on the Zeus of his gods that he's played so far. I think that he did better on that than the Poseidon yesterday, so I like the idea of taking it away. And Paul played it back in the day. I played against him playing Zeus a lot. I don't know if it's still in the god pool, though.
I would like to see Sam get something aggressive, though, and that's what we're going to see. The Pele pickup earlier on. Renegades were focused on banning that in the counter-ban phase. Raijin alongside it, so a little bit more aggression, different sort of composition. And the best of the news is we're giving Sam another taste of some earlier game aggression. Mercury can do that a little bit, but he really likes the late game more. Pele, definitely someone at level 5 that can make an impact.
And Raijin, great at rotating into fights on blue buff invades and making a big impact there. He wants to fight in the jungle. He's got enough mobility that he can stay safe. And his early wave clear usually lets him beat his enemy mid laner to the punch. So I think this can really work well.
Talk about the enemy mid laner. That is him on your screen there. Dardez is having to think with Renegades now about what mid they could be looking at here. What would... Obviously, is Zeus still available right now? Is that an option with this comp? Not really against Pele, right?
Yeah, I don't love it against Pele Raijin, that's for sure. I mean...
Are you wanting an escape against Pele?
A little bit, yeah. I think, honestly, something like AMC mid can actually work, and that's, I think, what Renegades are going to do. They already have the Jing Wei. So automatically, though, if I'm SK, I'm thinking about what Guardians could Cherryo play in the jungle now to balance out this composition so that it's not a 4 physical comp. I think I'd probably ban Athena, even though no one's been playing it except for Kalas played it once. I think I'm banning out Athena, and I think I'm banning Fafnir to stop the Terra from going solo with the Fafnir support. Maybe Kabrakan if you really want to shut down the available Guardian jungles, but I think something like that could work well.
Camazot's ban again by the Renegades here. That's very interesting. I guess because, well, they're worried about, why would they ban a Camazot's? I'm so confused by that.
Yeah, I don't love it. In case they go King Arthur and Achilles can go support, and then Belair could pick the Camazot's, but that seems like a lot. Though the Camazot's is pretty good against the AMC. How does AMC ever get away from the bat? It can be pretty annoying, and that was still an option, I suppose.
Good
Maybe
point.
SK don't even worry about the Guardian jungles and you just ban King Arthur here. I don't think you're taking another shot at Cherryo's God Pool unless it's a Guardian. Serket, Naja, Hun, Batz are the 3 assassins that he's played a lot.
Over to SK, it will be the Raven ban away. They're expecting that jungle option could have been a problem for them with the engage. Renegades now hovering the Ganesha again. Ganesha into Pele, interestingly enough. I'm not sure how impactful that's going to be, but it can cause some problems with the silencers, of course.
Definitely. I mean, the eruption is a long cast time before it ends up going off. A blink 2 for Pele can get easily interrupted by a good Ohm coming from Ganesh. So it looks like it might be Terra in the solo lane for Renegades, which I like them holding. I think a Ganesh pick here is fine. iRaffer played pretty well on it last game, and you're just going to keep doing what you're doing until they prove you can beat it, right?
Jormungandr on the table, still flexible then, so it could be Terra solo. Jormungandr solo is available too. One thing we can say for sure, it's Jingwei and AMC in the Haunter and the mid positions. There's no way they're playing a different role, those two.
No, I don't think so. Definitely not with the way Funball's playing. You're never taking Jingwei out of his hands.
Yom jungle, is that even a thing? Is it?
It is Cherryo.
I know, and that's why I'm like, is
Maybe.
that a thing?
Maybe. That is Cherryo. I would like it, I think, for Nika in the solo lane up against the Achilles, but I could see it.
Let's go, says SK. Hopefully into a game 4 if they can find the victory here in this 3rd game. And this is the benefit of the picks and bans and best of 5s more than anything else. Is the fact that AMC and Pele, both of them banned in the first 2 games in the counter ban phase, now selected earlier to make this sort of situation available. Fafnir, great pick here, take it away from the fact that Renegades could look for it potentially, but also the disarm, very impactful against AMC and Jingwei.
Yes, I like this pick. Great with your draft. It works well with everybody on your team, basically. Raijin, not a whole lot, but other than that, it's pretty good.
Funballer seemed excited about like, hey, don't forget about Kuzenbo. That's the
We
hover
could play
right
that.
now. I don't know. This is a very Cherryo
Kuzenbo
draft,
jungle?
though. Isn't it a very Cherryo draft?
Well, yeah, there's
3
2
Guardians, 2
already.
Hunters?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, come on.
This is a classic for any Cherryo squad. You should expect a double Hunter, triple Guardian comp at some point.
I think Kuzenbo's a really good pick into the squad SK have got, but does it work with the comp they have already? It's a lot of displacement on this team.
My question is just who's jungling? Is it going to be Yorm?
It looks like
is it
if
going
that
to be
Kuz gets
Kuzenbo?
locked in, it's got to be Yorm, right?
Kuzenbo jungle has worked.
But Yorm into Achilles solo? I'm not down for that either.
Yeah, I mean, Yorm solo is really good. It gets you a lot of pressure. It can get out traded by the Achilles, but so does everything else under the sun. So
I'm just a little worried that Yorm in the solo lane, if that was the case, there's a Cabrakan. We were talking about Guardian junglers and whether that's an option. That's probably in the jungle.
yes, I imagine so. And it's not a great pick here. I think that SK, instead of banning it, you can do a couple things when you're worried about a particular pick to play around it. And instead of banning it, I think SK just picks smart around a potential Cabrakan selection. They pick the Chronos, who can rewind and not really worry about the walls too much. Fafnir, 2 jumps available. Raijin, a jump. Pele can have some trouble. Achilles can have some trouble. But overall, I think SK did a good job of insulating themselves against a Cabrakan pick.
They've got a very good job of CC control in case he does use the tremors, though. A lot of things to be able to cancel those out if need be. Even Pele can do that for himself, too.
Yep.
Renegades then up 2-0. The early game, they have the potential to get aggressive with the Guardians, but then they might falter until late game. The mid game also, team fights are pretty strong.
Their team fight is really good, though. I mean, Yorm is super disruptive. Earth and Fury still the best ult in the game in team fighting phases. They've got AoE from the AMC. The draft looks good.
There's no way Renegades 3-0 this, right? Let's go to the casters and find out. There's no chance, guys, surely?
I don't know. I mean, this is Renegades. They have the human Cabrakan. They picked the Cabrakan. I want to see Cherryo bring it up.
Never say never. I think that is something that is fair to include here, especially with the way that games 1 and 2 have been broken down for Renegades. SK.
I see you, Neil.
Yeah, you're not invisible, Neil. As much as you want to be against the Renegades right now. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It has not been a fun time for Neil on that Sylvanus, but finally, you're getting a chance to work off of it with the Fafnir.
Once again, if you're just joining us, we're in our second match of the day. Earlier, Trifecta got bounced on. And right now, SK Gaming, who have had all the wind in their sails, having some trouble with relative newcomers Renegades. Tom and Taco on the cast, Doug on the 1s and 2s, bringing you the best observation in the league. And SK Gaming looking up at a 2-game deficit.
And I'm not even concerned about the damage for Renegades. I know that it looks awkward with Triple Guardian, but
Nah.
this has been Cherryo's calling card for as long as I can remember him in pro level play.
Oh, yeah.
It always happens. It's not necessarily guaranteed to be, you know, the first set that they do or the second even, but at some point, Cherryo winds up on a Guardian kind of jungle, and not only that, but he usually has 2 other tanks with him.
And, you know, I called him that. I love when Cherryo brings out Kabrakan specifically. The damage is heavy. He's able to really make an impact, and obviously there's some control. You heard Ryan talk about how so many people can get out of the Kabrakan trap, and that's all well and good. You still can get 1 or 2 shot, and that's certainly something Cherryo is going to try and keep in mind.
It's not even necessarily about SK escaping the soft cage that tectonic plates bring. It's about living through the burst damage after the fact. I mean, Dardez on this Amusing Cobb, that Stinger cripple might also be key against SK, because sure, they have some stuff that can get out of it, but let's say the target is Neil, he's not going to have beads to get away from a cripple out of a Stinger, and if he's got that cab wall up in front of him as well, Neil might just be toast.
Certainly, what you got to look out for? Kabrakan can set up a whole lot of damage. Neil and the rest of the team as well. On high alert, I'm sure. Yorm versus the Achilles. You heard Hinduman say he wasn't too thrilled about this matchup. Yorm seems to be doing it. Nika's got the Diamond Jormungandr, by the way. Gotta mention that. You know, it's interesting. These pros play so much that, you know, Diamond, whatever. But you don't get Worshippers in scrims. So to get Diamond, you've been playing a whole lot of Yorm.
Or at least trying to.
Exactly. And that was going to be my second point. Just because you play a lot doesn't mean you're winning. Trust me, I've got a Diamond Nuwa. Don't look at my win-loss record. But I think if Nika's going to bring it out, he's feeling good.
And Belair, actually, probably not feeling as good. But Achilles versus Jorm is an interesting matchup because I don't think that this is about the laning phase for either of these teams. It's all going to come down to the team fights because that's how it's been established in the past 2 games so far. Renegades have been out team fighting SK.
Time and time again. That's been their approach the entire time. So we'll see if it continues. Right now, Renegades one game away from taking the whole match. Certainly just could.
You know, he's probably sweating the hardest watching this set, though.
Who's that?
Space Station.
Yeah.
I think they're the ones you've got to be on the lookout because Renegades, I mean, they just started working their way up through the standings. It's only the top 6 teams that actually wind up on a pathway to MSI, and Space Station are definitely cutting the line right there.
It's true. It's certainly true. Everybody's on alert. Renegades, like we said, they played yesterday and everybody was watching. They're playing today. Everybody's watching. Zapman on the Chronos versus Funball. He's getting involved. He ain't just watching. Funball knocks himself up. The rest of the squad shows up for the purple defense, and it will be successful. No invade for SK Gaming.
But Funballer, without that level 5, gonna go for the one more wave mentality here. Zap doing everything he can to try and zone this Jing away, but it's just not enough, and Funballer will get that airstrike online before having to worry about heading back to base. I like this Chronos pick, though, for Zapman, as opposed to the Cernunnos. It's not that Zap was doing anything wrong on the Cernunnos, but I don't feel like Zap had much of a chance to shine.
Sure.
He would try to go in, but Cernunnos not having any CC immunity on his ult, really just having the AoE proc of everybody turning into a boar potentially. Not a whole lot you can do there with that one if your entire team's already dead. Chronos, on the other hand, he'll kill everyone.
And the Cernunnos was looking, the Cernunnos is a team fight hunter, and the problem was we kept seeing the Wild Hunt chased out defensively, and when it came time to team fight, Renegades were just winning those team fights. So the reason SK picked the carry that they did wasn't really lining up with how the game was being played. Now Zapman on the late game Chronos, his job is just to shoot people, and he's going to be able to shoot people. So I like this choice for Zapman. It's very different from what he was playing earlier, and I think that's a good thing.
And he can also play up a little bit more so against Funballer. I don't think he could in games 1 or 2. Neil, though, could be in a spot of trouble here. Doesn't have that level 5 yet. Won't be able to go into the Draconic form. So this blue buff invade attempt going to be shut down one more time. Renegades are getting pretty good at responding to SK's early game.
Exactly. That was their thought process from the get-go. Belair cut off from the team. That's going to make me laugh every time. No collapse. It just looks funny.
Oh, Zap can't avoid the explosive bolts. Cherryo trying to make a rotation happen, but it's for the purple buff. That's all that SK are after, and it's unsuccessful. Cherryo gonna steal that one away one more time. iRaffer coming along the backside, but it's already too little too late. Cherryo has fallen, and Zapman gets first blood.
Love the surround there from SK Gaming. Dardez able to take down Zapman, though. The response from the mid lane rotation. The old Warcraft 3 surround. Zapman very, very intimate with that one. Old Warcraft 3 player himself. Just body block. You don't need to have a stun if you can 3-man body block someone against a wall. They literally can't move. Nice micro play there from SK Gaming. Shout out to my RTS nerds. But Renegades just, SMITE 101. Oh, you killed us. We'll rotate and kill you back. Great response there from RNG.
I think Dardez, it was also a response that had to be made. If
Yeah.
Dardez doesn't find the stinger onto Zapman, who knows what might have happened next, because Zap was just about to get the rewind off.
Yep.
And everybody knows when Kronos rewinds, it's not to disengage usually. Zapman would have probably been looking to still go in there.
You hit that rewind, you get all your cooldowns back, you look at the opponent, and you go, let's go.
Oh my god, is he here?
In
Is
the
that
studio?
him in the studios, Kronos?
Let's go.
Oh my god!
Wow.
I don't think that's one of his voice lines.
It is
Oh,
on
it is on the 64 pack,
and
yeah.
that's the best skin in the
It
game.
is the best skin. For Kronos, without a doubt.
It really is.
You're trolling if you think there's any better ones for it.
Totally. I mean, what are you gonna do? Pick the creepy old baby man? You know the one I'm talking about? The old man baby?
We'll talk about that in a second. Right now, Cherryo's trying to escape from Sanford Soccer, but it's going to be unsuccessful. Nika, though, here to pick up the pieces left over, and Sam will end up falling eventually as Nika gonna world worm away. I really love just calling it the world worm.
The world worm.
It feels like he goes so far.
He really does. I do like it. The world worm, the world wiggle. I've heard it called before.
You can't really wiggle with that, though.
The super snail.
He's just
I've heard
so,
that one before.
like, that hitbox just
He a big
feels
boy.
unreal.
It really does.
Stupid thick.
He's a large creature. Large and in charge, that's for sure. Dummy thick, as you would say. Aggro. I thought you were aggro.
I already had that covered. Don't worry. I wouldn't miss my chance.
You just need you need the aggro inflection. He's kind of
What's up?
that, and also he's kind of dummy thick. That's the aggro for sure.
Oh, man. All things have fallen into a little bit of a lull here, though, between SK and Renegades.
After an explosive start, which, by the way, SK Gaming have responded better to Renegades here in Game 3 than they have all set.
Yeah, but I'm keeping an eye on Dardez right now with this Amus and Cobb because he's already started to separate himself just a teeny bit from in the experience department from Paul. And I think Neil as well could find himself in a little bit of trouble if he doesn't start prioritizing just farm over invades, because it's been twice now that we've seen Neil get kind of punished. First time he got out, second time not so much.
Cherryo's getting in trouble as well. 2 deaths already for the jungler. He stuns Belair under the tower. Nika getting pushed out as well as they try to defend their own blue buff. Great job from Cherryo, blocking out the opposition. That was cute. Nika goes in, Nika goes out. Trouble as Cherryo under the tower dies to Belair. Wow, that was, did you expect Cherryo to die to, like, I did not expect Belair to go in.
I don't even know when Belair wound up underneath that T2 tower,
Yeah.
he kind of just wiggled his way through all of that chaos. And I don't think, I think Cherryo was kind of flirting with disaster on that one.
Yep.
Probably should have just kept running backwards.
Yep. A little bit trouble, a little bit problematic. We're out here talking how excited we are to see Cherryo on the Khebrakin, but this has been a lackluster start for him, to be honest with you.
Just a little bit, but I think that this is going to be a utility Khebrakin.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be much more than that. Cherryo, known for his hybrid-based builds on Guardians in the jungle. Well, so far he's rushed Pen Boots and a Divine Ruin, which only adds into the Pen tree for himself, but I'm a big fan of the early anti-heal. I don't think you can stress it enough when it comes to self-sustain, that SK can rely on that factor for sure in these engagements, and the last thing Renegades want to deal with is an undiable or an unkillable Chronos.
Renegades are looking for a killable Gold Fury. It's half HP already. SK Gaming will show up, and NeilMah says hello, but everybody a little bit late to the party. Now the damage coming out from Paul. Cherryo wiggling and weaving. Likely to go down here as Zapman gets the last hit onto Cherryo. But again, Cherryo has kind of taken his spot. Trade out the Gold Fury. That's fine.
He's cool with being the team punching bag. Nika, not so much.
Yeah.
Won't get a chance to escape this go-around as the Worm finally gets brought down here. iRaffer's still trying to play defense in the mid lane, however, could be in trouble. Paul's got his cooldowns one more time, but with Dardez rotation back in, that's going to force Paul away, and the same for Neil.
Terra ultimate popped as well. Nice job there by iRaffer to survive. Dardez chasing Zapman. Zapman finds a stun onto iRaffer. Beautiful body block. And Dardez gets him with the bees. Nice play there by Renegades. And it's about tied up. iRaffer in trouble. Dardez with the body blocks again. A good shell will turn it around, though. That was a double. That was a double kill for Dardez. If the shell doesn't come out, I don't know why iRaffer died there. But a very, very nice play from SK.
iRaffer was trying to see if he could secure a kill onto Sam, because if he'd gotten the dash off, he kills Sam there every time. But Neil just kind of smacks him on the head with a hammer and says, no siree, as Cherryo falls in a fairly similar fashion now. Fatal Strike is good from Belair, and the tower, I mean, that's been long gone. Cherry, this is problematic now. Three
Very
levels
bad.
under.
Yeah, this is very bad. 0-5-2. I mean, this is really tough. Khebrakin is a character in between as well. When you look at a Hebo, you fall behind. There's nothing you can do. When you look at on Athena, you fall behind. It doesn't matter, quote unquote, right? Khebrakin's somewhere in between, where you do have access to 2 stuns, and the wall is big and tremors are big. But at the same time, all of those tools require you to be up close and personal. So.
And one thing iRaffer needs to not be right now is up close and personal with SK. Trying to create a little bit of space is Nika here to peel for the life of his support. And a reset on the Pyromancer. I don't know that SK want to force his objective or not, but no one from Renegades is in position right now to try and interfere.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with this. I think Pyromancer is a very small boon. I think it's a, you know, it's very, very low. So I'm down with the play. I like SK Gaming playing aggressively there. Again, they have a lead, and too many times, especially in this meta, Taco, we see teams get like a 3,000 goal lead and then chill.
Oh, look, keep an eye out though. Neil could be in a spot of trouble here. iRaffer gonna catch him with the Terra walk clap as Cherryo tries to bring down Nika's blue buff, but Paul's already rotated over. He's willing to drop the Tycho drums right on top of iRaffer. That's gonna be kill number 1, and kill number 2 comes shortly after the fact with Belair again. 3-0 so far for this Achilles.
Great job, great job. And it's SK Gaming staying aggressive. We see a lot of teams get these 3,000 gold leads and then chill. They don't do nothing. They sit on the porch and they drink their lemonade. SK Gaming, on the other hand, they're getting out there, they're going and doing it.
Not a bunch of stoop kids today.
No, they're leaving the stoop. Absolutely. And I mean, that's the thing here, is that they're pushing the lead.
We might have a game 4 on the line.
It is early.
It's mad early, don't get me wrong.
It is early, but I kind of agree.
Just a little bit. What if we whisper the whole time instead?
Zapman making a lot of noise. I can't do it.
He's escaping.
Aggro's already mad.
Get him, Zap.
Sam's gonna get him. Neil's over the wall. Dardez is here. Funball is safe and sound. Cherryo can make a play. Blink is good. Where's the ultimate? Damage onto Sam for soccer. Transformation for NeilMah. Here comes iRaffer. Forces the jump. Renegades on the run. That should be that.
Should Terra get a Shakira skin?
Like, no, 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 no.
Like she just does a global emote and Hips Don't Lie just starts playing in the background.
I'm down. I mean, but then you have to ask, like, when?
Ooh, Zapman with the solo kill of a lifetime there on Funballer.
The catch.
God, that feels awful when you're the Jing in that position.
And what's crazy is that, I mean, that's how quickly that can change. We're here, we're watching them kind of trade out, and then Zapman just all of a sudden decides to go for it. 1-3 basic and takes care of business. Real clean from Zapman, continuing his 1v1 prowess.
Zap also went for the hasten ring rush on Chronos, something that is a little bit outside of the norm here as the rewind will successfully go off, and Nika and iRaffer are going to have to abandon their pursuit of this Chronos. But, oh, just kidding, Nika found Zapman one more time. But Belair's already killed Cherryo on the opposite side of the map, where Nika, well, I don't think he really needs to be there any longer, but you almost have to wonder if it's worth trying to let Cherryo farm over there, because Belair is just smacking him down every single time.
Certainly something to think about. But again, right on time.
Wait a second.
Zapman
was the one who solos Funballer, and it's Renegades who get the Gold Fury?
Renegades have been, as soon as the Gold Fury spawns, they go for it. As soon as it spawns. SK might be on point for buff spawns, but Renegades have the objectives on lock here, Taco. And that's just credit to them. SK Gaming have run away with this game, and Renegades still managed to hang on to a 2,500 differential.
But that should have been Zapman's Gold Fury. That should have been his reward for killing the enemy hunter. Instead, he's going to have to fight with the rest of SK because it's Renegades looking to try and match up in the mid lane.
Renegades are going to engage on NeilMah, separated from the rest of the squad. Transformation is good, but SK Gaming seeping in from the left-hand side. Cherryo shows up, blinks on a Zapman. Damage is dealt. There's the trap. Tremors are coming. Not enough damage. Renegades need it, and Dardez is here. The double un for the Frenchman as Belair goes down to the hand of the mid-lane carry. Renegades bite back. SK still have the lead, but Renegades looking to take that away.
Looking to take down this T1 tower, that's for sure. With only Paul left to play defense in the mid lane, even with iRaffer being as low as he is, Paul knows better than to try and rush in. Still has both of his relics intact as well. So keep that in the back of your mind, because on this next Pyromancer respawn, I can assure you SK are not going to let this objective go for free, and I don't think they can afford to, honestly. It's already been a stalemate in the jungle because Renegades have successfully caught themselves back up.
Yeah, it's been real tough, and like I said, the SK Gaming team, this is going to be a telling point, because SK Gaming, after a performance like this, is usually in the winner's seat. They're 7,000 to 8,000 gold up, and the enemy team kind of can't respond. Renegades have responded better than virtually anybody we've seen.
Zapman's going for some big rings on the build.
Pretty big rings.
Oh, it's chunking that Pyromancer, that's for sure. SK still looking to draw Renegades even closer in. Cherryo's going to take the bait first, going straight on to Paul, but Paul might have bit off more than he could chew, brought down from the tectonic plates.
That's that Cherryo damage. Now here comes the rest of Renegades. Nika making everybody question themselves. Dardez goes down, but Sam's traded out, and iRaffer falls afterwards. It's a 2 for 2, and Nika makes it a 3 for 2, but again, it's 3 for 3. Belair and NeilMah versus Nika and Funball. But guess where Funball is?
On the opposite side of the map, split pushing the objectives, opening up the pathway for Renegades to chase SK on any form of retreat now, near that red buff. And it's just a ton of experience that Funballer definitely needed. Zapman had a lead for a while there, but all of these towers falling is just piling up the gold for Renegade's pockets. And sure, you had 3 teammates sent back to the fountain, but that might have been the plan to start with because they're just spending money.
Lead change, baby. Renegades wrestle control this game back, and I use that term very intentionally. That graph looks like a Batista bomb. Renegades just take SK Gaming through the floor like Mortal Kombat 2, and now they're looking for the victory. Again, a best of 5. Renegades could wrap this up in 10 minutes.
Paul has to stop thinking that he can be by himself.
Yeah.
I think that it's been a reoccurring issue in games 1, 2, and now 3. Paul getting picked before the fight actually begins, and SK are relying on that magical damage to help bring down Cherryo.
It's been a big part of what SK have been looking for. But now Cherryo's really dealing the damage. You know, he's got the booties, he's got the anti-heal, sure, but then you see some of these hybrid items, the binding, the void stone, and the Cherryo mask.
Only time will tell.
The Cherryo mask.
Yeah, it's the Cherryo mask.
It's gonna be the Cherryo mask.
He's gonna be zooming.
We'll see. Fighter's mask. 10 pen, 50 magical power. It's a big deal.
Some magical power that you really have to factor in for, and the small bits of pen. Flat pen's always nice to have.
The flat pen is really nice because penetration is difficult to get on magical characters. And when you look at the options, you're generally looking at Spear and Obshard. Spear, sure, Tremors will do it, but it's not really relevant. And Obshard again. Cherryo's looking for items that'll help him, because that man needs more than an item to help him. Funball finds kill number 10. All in some trouble, but again, Taco, who's he with?
Absolutely no one. He was trying to help Zapman, who got caught out by Renegades, but with 2 of the carries already being dead, that just leaves Neil, Sam, and Belair to try and play defense. And Renegades are just sieging the opportunity, quite literally, in fact, going straight from T2 Tower and mid down to the Phoenix.
That is so apropos. I don't know if that was an accident or not, Taco. Siege the opportunity. That's what they're doing. They don't see the opportunity and grab it. They're not seizing it. They see the opportunity and they punch it in the mouth. They are absolutely sieging the opportunity. Renegades with a bounce back. 22-22 on the clock. Renegades trail in kills, and they trailed for most of the game. But here, they've been able to get a 6,000 gold lead. They find themselves sitting pretty as far as the levels are concerned as well. And Renegades take the Pyromancer like it's their job. Well, back to base. Where are they going now?
Well, Cherryo's going to finish his mask off. I'm pretty sure he just sold his starter item in the hopes that it would give him enough gold. And he's still hanging around the fountain, so actually scratch that.
Yep.
He just wanted the flat 10 pen and the 50 magical power. Going to rush the Magi's instead. And I think this is a smart switch up for Cherryo as well, because it's been made clear that he's not meant to be the heavy burst factor of this composition. And that's down to Dardez and Funballer. And guess who was with Cherryo when they were killing Zapman? Funballer.
Yep. And, you know, that's why we see the mask come out. It's going to provide some penetration where it's normally hard to get. He's got some of the other hybrid items, but he also needs to not blow up. So the cloak will help that out. Gold Fury goes to Renegades. They find themselves up 8,000 gold out of nowhere. Out of nowhere.
I feel like I always get tricked by the mask, though, into just my brain automatically defaults into thinking everybody's trying to buy a Boombas.
Exactly. The Cherryo mask. It's you know, he's just going to be able to do more damage, and that's the masks were intended to transform. You know, you want to go you want to go Jungle Guardian? Sure, you can. We built a mask for you. It's for off-roll characters. That's why I call it the Cherryo mask.
Yeah, okay. We all know what really happened. Cherryo just hitting up Ajax like, hey man, do me a solid. Your boy needs some help.
I keep trying to play Ymir in the jungle, and it's not working, and Ajax in his joust queue. I know what you need, Cherryo. I'm very sorry, Ajax. Please don't hurt me.
I still never understood the joust view.
He used to play a lot of jousts.
Yeah, but Alright, well, we'll get to that some other time because
Sam's not going to get into it another time. Cherryo's going to take him down. He trades his life for it, but Funball puts Zapman in the ground as well. 3 players here standing tall, and Renegades looking to take care of it right here, right now. In goes Nika. The frenzy is popped on the other side. However, Renegades do have some trouble. Paul sent back to the fountain. NeilMah sent back to the fountain the hard way. 80% on the Titan so far. iRaffer, half HP. Dardez, pow, pow, pow. Funball doing the same. Renegades come to the Pro League, and they do it with fervor. They take down SK Gaming in their second match of the season.
talk about a statement set. If these teams weren't sweating about the Renegades finally being here, they might have to because Viva La Visa is starting off strong.
These guys have been waiting. They've been excited. They've had some ups and downs. Obviously, if you've been paying attention, getting here wasn't easy for them, and they've got a lot of ground to make up. But this is how you enter the building. You just go, what up, guys? What I miss?
I think the bigger problem, though, is that I'm not even sure SK know what went wrong there for them.
Yeah.
I personally, I mean, maybe watching back, the obvious mistakes are going to be called out. I think one too many instances of Paul or Zap getting picked off and somebody else usually falling as a secondary because they would have a late rotation to try and save the life of one of their carries, and, well, then now you're both dead.
Exciting stuff to see teams like this. SK Gaming, I mean, this is what you ask for as a broadcaster, as a commentator. We're here to tell the story, and we just hope the story is good. Right now, the story is the most recent hot team that's come out of nowhere got taken care of by the new most recent hot team that's come out of nowhere. Renegades take this 1 and 3.
So, want to catch a movie?
Yeah, we got time, right? I mean, when did the Dig Boys say they were? Oh, I actually saw them on Twitter already. They were already at the movie.
2-3-0s going down here. Renegades close it out in 3 sets. Cherryo early game really struggled early and got focused, but it didn't matter.
No, he seemed to be able to keep it going. I mean, he's 0-6, and then a big fight around Pyromancer. He still ends up one-shotting Paul. Paul gets his beads off, but doesn't get his ult, jump, or Aegis off before he ends up dying, and that was really the turning point of the entire game, was Cherryo being able to make that play and soloing out Paul.
SK Gaming overall, though, early game, they looked a lot better. Neil landed a lot of hammers through this, and some of the fights were good in the early stages. And this isn't a fight that goes like 1-for-1 overall there between the two. But SK got off to a good lead here. Problem I saw was that Paul just struggled getting the experience throughout the game, keeping pace with Dardez.
Yeah, that was a sick body block by iRaffer with the Monolith. But Dardez was, again, in great position all game long. But again, it's because iRaffer was in great position all game long, and Cherryo was in great position, and Nika, it lets Dardez shine in that game. Look, Zap got really far ahead and really did a good job of handling Funball in the laning phase. By the time the team fights came around, Paul just wasn't able to be nearly as effective as that of Dardez.
No, and that's the question I'm going to propose to you here. The Pele versus Cabrakan matchup. It looked like when Sam did manage to get in there, Cabrakan was like, nope, you will stay still, you will use your beads, and some of your effectiveness will be lost because of it.
In the early game, it was all Sam. Sam was doing a good job of finding the right targets around the map in the early stages, but when it came to the team fight, there was also that weird fight in the mid lane where everyone's kind of starting to back up, and then Sam finds a really, really good ultimate that hits 3 or 4 people, but then that kind of forces NeilMah to transform. He jumps in. He's already kind of low. That was just an awkward fight. It just seemed like SK was a little bit discombobulated today.
And indeed they were, as the scoreline would reflect. But Renegades, what a performance from them coming out here. Good first week, 2 victories under their belt so far, and a step after step too. Trifecta, then SK. A lot of people have always been saying, well, where are they going to end up this year? And a lot of people are like, well, it depends how they play. After taking the scalp of SK in 3-0, how are you seeing them?
I think they're in a really good spot to make mid-season invitational and make some noise there potentially. We see this sometimes, though, with, I say it a lot, with players who move into new roles, and I think it can apply to new teams as well, especially ones in a unique position like Renegades, where they've come in kind of late and weren't playing at the beginning of the early season. They're going to start off hot, and then it's not that teams will figure them out necessarily. There will be a little bit of that. There will be a little bit of, plateauing for them for a little bit, and then they should ideally ramp up again after that. I think they just have to worry about where that plateau is going to come and if it'll happen right around the time of Midseason Invitational. They've got a lot of games to play between now and then. They're not going to have a lot of time to get their outside of game practice and things like that. They just need to keep on rolling in-game, and that can be difficult to do.
European players versus North American players as well. There's a little knock-on effect there, I want to say, because that was an NA versus EU matchup.
Yep.
And when we see some of the other teams that Renegades may have to face off against, they will have some European blood there, so they'll know the sort of things that some of these guys will try and do.
They definitely will. They'll be a little bit more prepared for the Kabrakan jungle and how much damage it brings, because they've been playing against it for a long time. But at the end of the day, Funball gets his revenge on the curse of SK Gaming.
And with that, let's head over to the Renegades, who are standing by for an interview right now.
Here now with the Renegades' very own stars of the show, it feels like, or at least for Funballer, the ADC and Nika, the solo laner. First things first, guys. I mean, you came through hot in today's set. Were you expecting this type of result?
It's hard to say. Like, I expected us to win. We were feeling really good for this set, but winning 3-0 against SK, who've been in such good form, especially, is pretty impressive. Like, and I think we're all very proud of the result.
You guys as a team all played real well, but I was just talking to iRaffer and Dardez, and they're particularly proud of you, Kieran. Funball, you really popped off today. What can you say about your performance?
I don't know what happened. Like, I think Rafa made me a smoothie in the morning, so he must have put something in there, like some good strawberries and stuff.
I mean, definitely a difference from the Season 5. I know that was one big thing, Funballer, you kind of touched on in the documentary even prior to Season 6 ever even starting off. And with the success that you've had so far already, are you expecting this to continue?
Yeah, expecting, I don't know, I think we're just going to play our game. And to be fair, Zapman did pop me in Game 3.
Yeah, he did.
But my team, my team helped me out. I got farm. They won a 4v5, and Cherryo was just a monster.
Yeah, just to add to that, like, I think all of us have so much trust in each other that we just like expect each other to perform, and I think that will like carry us through the season a lot more than other teams.
Now, Funball, as far as your experience in the Pro League is concerned, I mean, Taco and I were talking about it on the cast. You've always been a strong hunter with not that strong teams. I mean, going all the way back to Team Coast, I think was a little shaky even back then. What can you say about how you feel about this squad? Does this feel different?
This feels like the team. It feels like the team. I can trust anyone on this team. Like, I can trust Nika, I can trust Rafa, I can trust Dardez, trust anyone on this team, and that's the main point.
Yeah.
Well, last thing I want to ask you guys then, who's next on the menu? Because you boys have been eaten up lately.
Diggs on the list, aren't they?
List.
Someone needs to end their run.
Coming for
hopefully,
you, Nate.
hopefully it'll be us.
Well, congratulations again, guys, on your
Thank
set
you.
win today, and going back to you guys on the desk.
Thanks so much for the interview there from the Renegades. Yeah, they seem happy. The strawberries in America are good, according to Funballer.
Hey,
That's the case, right?
It worked for him. I mean, Raffer, that's going to be a game day tradition now, I bet. That's the worst thing, is when you do something nice for someone and then it goes well for them, they're like, well, now you have to keep doing it.
A couple of other issues with the interview, too. One, Funballer said he trusts his own team, but didn't name Cherryo.
Well,
so that says something.
He did say everybody.
Yeah, but
so
then named everybody and left Cherryo's name out.
it's the longest
And
of all the
instead of
other
all,
names.
you win 2 sets and you're calling out the top dogs of the league.
They called them out yesterday. They
That's a
won
good
one
point.
set and they were calling them out. I think
Let's
that they've been looking forward to it.
Have a little look at the standings then so you can see how things have mixed up after today's performances. Dignitas still top of the shop after their performance against Trifecta, who still sit at the bottom. But Renegades are still 6th, but a better 6th.
Yeah, sitting at 2-0 now. Man, there's going to be some good teams that end up missing out on the midseason invitational.
Which ones?
It's going to be close. That's the question. I mean, Splice at 0-3 right now. They've got a lot of games to play still.
Which 4 do you think are not going to make it? And I'll tell you if you're right or wrong.
Oh, yeah, because you have the script.
Yeah.
Well, Trifecta LG,
Okay.
Space Station.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go Splice. I think I'm
Wow,
gonna
so it's
keep
just
with
gonna
this-
stay
this-
as it is?
I think it's going to move around a bit, but this will be the bottom 4
Yeah,
right
I can't
now.
take the result now. I'm sorry.
But you told me you would.
You're not right. Let's just put it that way.
Oh.
You're not right. So make sure you keep tuning in to
Okay.
the SPL because these players will be continuing to play week on week. And that, towards the end of the year, we'll go to the World Championships. Hi-Res Expo is on its way and tickets are already on sale for you all to go and get now.
Did you hear what John Finch is going to do for everyone who comes to Hi-Res Expo this year?
Something to do with handshaking?
That's right. He's going to do a personal handshake with everybody. You know how, teams and very close friends do like special handshakes
Sure.
and that kind of stuff. John Finch is going to make one with every single person that goes to highresexpo.com and purchases.
He's going to need a lot of hand sanitizer. That's what I'm worried about.
Yes,
because
he
he's going
will.
to get us all sick. I'm
Yes,
worried
he
about
will.
that at all.
Hey, I tried to warn him. I was like, Finch, it's a bad idea. You don't have that kind of time. You're going to get sick. He was so adamant about it. I couldn't stop him.
If you can video record at Harry's Expo every handshake you get from Finch, that'd be great.
That'd be great.
On top of that, though, I believe there's also something else we're going to advertise here. A bonanza. A chibi bonanza. It's a skin chest. And, oh yeah, the Giannis one's out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the Blinky Chibi Giannis.
that's pretty good.
It's real good.
There is some really good ones. The Kukulkan one, I will say, is my default for playing because it's very easy to hit. It feels like the abilities are really easy to hit on that one.
Well, but I mean, it's the same. It's.
I know, it just feels. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it
skins
feels,
give
okay.
you feels. You should all know that.
I
at
thought
home.
that you were going to like go down a different rabbit hole, and I was trying to prevent it, and I did it.
Listen, we've had a lot of fun on the desk today, and the reason we're both so excited and so messing around is because our day's already done. It's the
Friday,
weekend
baby.
already. Have a wonderful weekend and enjoy Memorial Day for all those out there that celebrate it and understand what it's about. But from us here at Hi-Res Studios and everybody in the production room in the back and skill shot, have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Patriot.
The SPL brought to you by Titan Forge, Hi-Res Studios, INAP, Respawn, Steel Series, Alienware, Skillshot.